Welcome to Sic'Em365 Radio.
Brewer, easy, touchdown Bears, love it.
Sic'Em365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Wiley, they come down the crease, tried to find him, and he got picked off. Baylor with the turnover, J.T. Woods. And he was JT money on that pick.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Down to the throw. Lofting one. He's got a man. It's McLaurin in stride. Touchdown, Washington.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Man, oh man, so much to dig into, to digest, to try to figure out. Bottom line is there was drama over the weekend with Baylor football. Not only the loss to Texas, some of the parts of that game. Dave Aranda today took on the decision about punting from the UT 30. We'll hear that. The passing game, which seems to continue to struggle. We'll get something from you on that, plus a quote from within the program. And then all of a sudden, not only do they lose the game to Texas 27-16, but the word throughout the evening, John Lovett, Treston Ebner, two single-digit type leaders, both were leaving the program. Man, a lot of things can be fluid when you're talking about young kids and decisions, and that's exactly what happened. Dave Aranda today at 11 o'clock confirming that Treston Ebner, John Lovett are, in fact, with the team and are going to be there this week, and they expected to play on Saturday. And it would have been devastating because if you lose one or two, the next thing you know, here comes somebody else. Matt Rule dealt with this a little bit because he was not a part of the Art Briles staff that was torn apart and then eventually left. And he had that concern about players who were in or not, and he had to deal with it. Dave Aranda had to deal with it last night, this morning, and apparently, at least for now, that Treston Ebner and John Lovett are going to be a part of the Baylor football program. And, was it the loss? Was it the lack of productivity? Was it the lack of getting enough touches? What do either one of you think this was? Aranda addresses that with my one-on-one we'll have today at 4. What do you think it was?
Well, I don't think it was any one thing. I don't think it can be one thing unless it's a big thing. I think it was, a million little things that kind of started to build up. The stress of 2020 and COVID-19 and the starting and stopping. I think it was the fact that they were, for large stretches of the game, absent in the game plan. It appeared like 4 carries each, I believe 8 total catches between the two of them on Saturday, which is, for the two best players on your offense, not enough, especially when you're playing against a run defense that hasn't been very good despite the Baylor's offensive line struggles. You maybe think you can get a little bit right, and the fact that they haven't really practiced and played together, I think that's all part of it.
Yeah, I think it's just accumulated frustrations is what it is. Frustrations from the game on Saturday, frustrations from just kind of how the season has gone. And I immediately thought of just how difficult it would be to be these players. And if you're John Lovett or you're Treston Ebner, you're going to practice every day. You're doing all these things, wearing your mask. You're traveling on flights with N95 masks on. You're wearing goggles. You're doing everything that you've typically done, which is more than a typical student's required to do. And you're also now having to add in all these precautionary measures as well and all these COVID scares and everything. I just think that frustrations boiled over and just kind of maybe being sick and tired of just the grind of what's going on right now, and then you throw in some losing football on top of that, and it's just, maybe too much for some guys to take, and some guys who have maybe been already thinking about what their future looks like, and looking around college football like, well, hey, this guy sat out his season, and this guy sat out his season, and we want to play pro football too. Maybe it's best if we do that as well, especially if we're not being used fully. And I do think there was reason to have some criticism of the lack of running game on Saturday, because even though it was only a handful of touches early on, it was 5, 6, 7 yards. And their passing game was lucky to get 5, 6, 7 yards. And so I think that was ultimately we're just really frustrating for everybody watching, and especially for those guys playing.
But, yes, you're right, and David Aranda addressed that. We'll have that in a moment. They're both now back with the team. They wear single digits for a reason. That doesn't mean that if you're a 0 through 9 that you don't have issues, personal problems, scares, frightening things, bottom line, drama, whatever. Could be something that's a family issue. But when you get a single digit, there's a responsibility there. Wasn't there a player early on in Matt Rule's career, and it was just 3 years at Baylor, where a single digit player was actually removed from the team? Was there someone that left? I can't remember
Eric
who it was.
Hogar, left, got kicked off, but he was not a single digit.
Okay, no. I thought there was another player that, but the bottom line is this, is that it wasn't a good look. It doesn't mean they didn't have a reason or an excuse or that they're young and they just flat out got tired. I'm sure the two of them, I don't know if they both were talking amongst each other or not. You have the entire weekend for social media, the entire weekend for people to get in your ear, whether it's people that want to take control of your career as an agent. I'm not saying there was agent contact. Could be family members. I'm not saying it was that either. Or it could be buddies, friends. Hey, man, they're not using you right. You're 1 and 2, and things just don't look good. And then on top of that, everything you said, Paul, everything that Craig said as well. And I think Dave Aranda, when I spoke with him earlier today, I didn't know how I was going to react to it. I asked him about 3 or 4 questions about this, and we'll have it at 4. Was this just kind of remember I kept asking about a breaking point, and some kind of thought I was trying to be like this. I'm not saying this was a breaking point, but he discusses that. How do you prevent this from happening again? Because if you can do it over the weekend, can't you do it if you lose to TCU or you lose again after that? And then the other thing is, I doesn't mean the entire locker room is sold on them coming back. And when I talked to Dave, I'll give you a little bit of an inkling. He said the majority of players he spoke with, that there's some others that have to be convinced that Lovett and Ebner are back and focused and committed to this football team.
I saw a tweet from a player who I'll not name him right now, not because I'm trying to hide anything, but just not trying to put him on blast. I'll say that because for all I know, that tweet's been deleted and is already regretted. But I did see one player on the team who just basically said, I don't care, right afterwards. So, I mean, that goes to show you. And certainly when you have 100 guys in a locker room, not all 98 of those guys are going to be like, you know what, those guys did the right thing. No, they quit on you. I mean, for a moment, at least, they quit on you. And so while I understand their frustrations and I understand the frustration of just all that they're having to go through and, and then also the thing that you actually do get to enjoy on Saturdays is also now not as enjoyable. I understand that. But my thought also was, as much as that's a reason to be fed up and it's understandable to a certain extent, it is a bad look for those guys.
Mm-hmm. And it will be there now, yeah.
And you asked about, I don't know if I guarantee you they were talking to each other because those dudes are thick as thieves. So I guarantee you those two were having conversations together about this. If I'm wrong on that, I apologize, but odds are they were. And so, it's a bad look for them and something they're going to have to shake, and they can't pull that move again because you're gone.
No, you're right, and it is a stain. Now erase it. Go play your best game, Ebner, like you did against Kansas, but do that against TCU or Lovett many times. 254-339-1122, that's the text line. Daniel Acton has just already come in with something. We'll read that. But anyone else at 254-339-1122. The phone lines are open as well if you'd like to discuss anything over the weekend. The game, Lovett, Ebner, going forward, punting from the 30, the passing game, and much more.
Yeah, I do think it's because they were talking to each other. And sometimes if the three of us were all mad about the same thing at the same time, and then you're like, yeah, this, and then we're going to be like, yeah, you know what? Let's do this. And then you have an idea that sounds good at the time and sounds like the right thing. And then when you get just a little bit of outside perspective, you want to go, oh, maybe I'm out over my skis. And I think that that's probably what happened with these two guys, that they got emotional. They got fired up about something. They were talking to each other. They decided to make a power play, for lack of a better term. And, when they sat down and talked to people and reasoned it out on the other side, they changed their mind,
Yeah, no, they did, and that's fine. And these are the guys that also, remember, came to Baylor when a lot of other people didn't want to come to Baylor. So it's not like, but at the same time, that was 4 and 5 years ago. This is now. And when you lose and then you decide you no longer want to be a part of a program, even if it's for an hour or 10, it's disappointing. And it's not my team. I don't play there. I don't go to school there. I didn't attend there. We just cover them. But it is disappointing, and now we'll see. Maybe it's something that gives them a spark. Maybe it's something that refocuses them. I don't know. By the way, one thing that you have to do when you are voted on by teammates as a captain, which is basically what a single digit is, there's a responsibility to represent them, and maybe they're representing others. That remains to be seen. I'll tell you this, when I called Phil Castles, Henderson High School football coach last night, he's not one that takes a lot of calls in the evening, believe me. But I texted him and then I called him, and he called me back. He didn't know about it. He did not know about it, and Baylor coaches had reached out to him as well based on my conversation with Phil. Not sure if he ever had a chance to talk to Treston Ebner or not, but that was something that normally a high school coach has his ear to the ground for any player wherever they're at Nicholls State or Baylor or Oklahoma or at Cal Lutheran. 254-339-1122.
Stephen from Virginia, thanks for your call. You're on Sic'Em365 Radio.
Hey, guys. I have two overriding thoughts, and the first one is about the coaches and the players as a whole. Sorry, I got to turn my Alexa off in the background. The first one is that
You just turned it up.
Excuse me. Sorry, that the coaches have got to put the players in a position that we don't go 1-8, because if we go 1-8, the players are going to lose faith, and this is going to be a bandwagon of losses. The second thing I would say is that the offense, if it plays like it did at Texas, will go 1-8. So I really think that there's a lot of room to be improvement, and that, I don't know if they should take their single digits, and I'm not a person to say anything. Like, I'm not on the team. I don't know. But I would certainly feel like if I was Squirrel Williams or if I was, any other Terrell Bernard, and these guys quit on me, even if like it was for an hour or 30 minutes or 2 hours, that I'd be pretty upset that I'm going out there and busting my butt every day, and that some people might not be in line with it anymore. So I'll just get off the radio now because I'm rambling.
No, you're not rambling. That's a great call. Yeah. Appreciate your call. 254-339-1122. I'm going to give you a couple of quotes. We're going to hear from Dave Aranda, how he addressed this earlier today. I do hope you listen at 4 o'clock to the one-on-one, because he gets pretty deep. We always hear about him being a deep thinker. He gets pretty deep into it in a philosophical way as well. From Carl, I feel for the coaching staff because this is the worst situation than what Matt Rule entered into. I do believe that Ebner and Lovett need to be held accountable by the team for this. You can't just go willy-nilly and say you're quitting on the team. Honestly, I think this will affect them more come draft time. I don't see the NFL looking at this as any kind of a fluke. That's something that they'll have to answer, and others around him will have to answer on exactly what was the story. Let me tell you, Colt Bryan, Ashley, those guys were all over this. There was absolute legitimacy to the fact that both of them were going to leave the program.
Yeah, I did see a couple of people going like, hey, did you guys just throw that out there, or questioning the report itself. I can tell everybody out there, there was absolutely legitimacy to this report. There was absolutely, and, I can't speak to the way others phrased it, because I do think there was some bad phrasing used by people not related to Sic'Em365, maybe some guessing even. But as far as the original bare bones of the report, these guys leaving the team, quitting, not showing up at practice on Sunday, all true.
All right, here's a quote from within the Baylor football program from somebody that said, "We love these players, would do anything for them. Just had to let them know it's best for them to be here with us and playing football." That also, it's also best for the football team. Mm-hmm. It's best for the coaches and the staff to have them there as well, but not always necessarily, even if they're both very, very, very good. So that's one. Now, here's Dave Aranda. This is when he was asked about the status of both John Lovett and Treston Ebner earlier today in the Big 12 teleconference.
They're both with us, and we're expecting them to play. And, I think it just speaks to just the time that we're in. I think the guys are dealing with a lot off the field, and we're, as coaches, we're here for our players, and it's the most important thing for me and our staff. And I'm really proud of the relationships that we've built and worked on, and we will continue to pour into our players and get to know them and get them with us even more. I think it speaks, though, I think, to just kind of the time that we're in, especially I think some of the things that Baylor's been through specifically. difficult. And so we had good talks. I think we're going to be about full strength as we've been going into this next game. We still have 3 tests to take, but our first test coming off of Sunday, no one's positive, everybody's negative, and so we're trending in the right direction.
Dave, did y'all have to convince them to stay on the team, or can you speak to that at all?
No, I think we just had to just kind of sit down with them and just visit, and I think they both love our team. They love the teammates, and we're excited about our next opportunity here with TCU.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
All right, so that's Dave Aranda. That was a follow-up question from John Werner. That's Dave Aranda answering that, and he goes a little bit deeper with my conversation with him. Will run today at 4 o'clock. Here's from TJ on the Riverbend Liquor and Text hotline. This team has had damn near no practice time. They have had new coaching staff, and nobody likes losing. It's just frustration, snap decision after a lot of emotions. They're starting and stopping, reading headlines, social media. I don't like basically 2 captains quitting either, but they'll learn from it, and so will the others. And that is something that I asked Coach Aranda about. How do they learn? And also, how do they keep this from getting out? But when you don't have a locker anymore, or you clean it out, or you miss practice, you can't keep that inside your walls. Someone's going to talk.
Well, no. I don't think it's probably too healthy if it does stay indoors. I mean, I know that from a PR standpoint, it's better for you because there's not, now teams who can go out and recruit against you and say, hey, look, these guys are trying to leave the program halfway through the season, because I can guarantee you somebody's probably using that line today with some recruit they've got under their belts. But, yeah, it's frustrations. It's understandable. Who was our caller, by the way? It was Matt.
Steven, yeah.
Sorry. The thing about taking away the single digits, I mean, that's very unlikely. But, Steven, I think that's an interesting thought, because if I was a player on that team that's maybe not seen out of those guys, I would kind of question it a little bit. Now, I don't think you probably do that, but it's an interesting thought about, whether – with a move like that's deserving, or the move that a single digit would make. So
and maybe they'll have maybe they have one of those councils.
Maybe so. Yeah, I don't know, but it's an intriguing question. But yeah, I think emotions boiled over. But now these guys are gonna have to deal with that when they go to the combine, and they've got the Panthers or whoever asking them, so why'd you quit on your team for about 2 hours on Sunday in October? And
they'll know exactly how many hours.
Yeah,
they'll know if it's 4 hours and 17 minutes as well.
And that's on those guys. So I hope it doesn't fracture this team either. I'm glad that those guys changed their mind.
And it's good. And again, Dave Aranda said the majority of players he spoke with, he didn't say all of them, wanted them back. They wanted them back on the football team. So there will be a little bit of some maneuvering. And by the way, we'll say this as well. What they did was probably wrong. How that went about is wrong. But it's not like these 2 guys haven't poured their blood, sweat, and tears into the program either. But it's not, you don't finish a book until you get to the last chapter, and they have not written their last chapter, and now this becomes a chapter.
You know what this team needs? I've got a pretty simple cure.
A win.
Not even just that. Just practice and play every day for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Just do that every day for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, with everybody.
A lot of that stuff, especially if you practice and you play well, but if you practice together, if you lift weights together, if you do all the things that are team building things together, all of this nonsense will kind of melt away a little bit, and you'll be able to focus on something else. But the great thing about being a college athlete is sometimes it allows you to not have to focus on the outside world, and to kind of go into your bubble a little bit and focus on the next game, focus on getting better. Well, when you're not allowed to practice and you're not even allowed to see each other, all that's going to fracture. And this is all just a big salad of disaster so far for Baylor. If they can just move on and practice and play.
And that's what he said, that they had no tests yesterday that were positive, right? So they're trending. They still have 2 more tests this week. Christian Morgan back. Connor Galvin back. Xavier Newman back. And it appears as if they're going to have a full week of practice with them.
And they really needed Christian Morgan on Saturday on a couple of occasions. Yeah. But, that was a team that, clearly on Saturday, I'm sure we'll talk about the actual game itself. And, the frustrations and all that are at the forefront at the moment. But that looked like a team at times that I really don't know how good they are. Obviously, defensively, they're a good team. They are a good football team. And even when it looked like they were wearing down, they still managed to have another surge in them in the fourth quarter. But, this offense getting started too late or not taking advantage of opportunities or missing field goals again, it just can't keep happening. Yep. And that looked like a team that, for one, is figuring itself out, which is what Dave Aranda said after the game still, because they've only played 3 games during this time. And it looked like a team that has not played a lot of football in many ways.
Yeah, you're right. And the offense looks like it hasn't done much different. And coming up next, I got a text on it. Charlie Brewer, the passing game in Baylor's offense. What does Dave Aranda have to say about that? He also, up front and with transparency, answered the question that made no sense whatsoever Saturday from punting from the 30 of UT. And then again, when you watch the field goal kicking, that wasn't an option. So you ended up netting 10 yards. Did Isaac Power know what to do? I mean, you would think that's just part of the instincts of football. That's a legitimate question. That and next, much more. This is Sic'Em365 Radio. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. And right now, as we get closer and closer, Halloween this weekend, the next thing you know, in a month, it'll be Thanksgiving. And then Christmas. And then the holidays, no matter how we kind of deal with them this year. Waco Custom Marketplace is where you can go and contact them online, wacocustommarketplace.com. Make orders now over the phone as well. You can order online and get what you want for whatever you need when it comes to the various holidays coming up. And or just what you want to eat this week or what you want to cook or grill. On the tailgate, if you have one in the Brazos parking where we have Sic'Em365 and much more, that's where you can order. That's where you can go to get your tailgate, whatever product, tri-tip, briskets, hot dogs, sausage, chicken wings, and much more. They have that as well. Waco Custom Marketplace, your hometown grocery store type atmosphere. You have a bakery and a butcher shop that are open all the time, not unless the store's closed, of course, and a place that wants to take care of you and order what you want and how you want and when you need it. And they'll take care of you. The butchery, the baker shop, and the butchery has seafood, pork, poultry, and also beef as well. Waco Custom Marketplace, pre-cooked meals that with large portions, cold beer and wine, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online, pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Have you tried a do-it-yourself program to lose weight? You may not know that in a typical do-it-yourself program, a quarter of the weight you lose is due to muscle breakdown and loss. With COVID harming obese and overweight patients, being at ideal body weight is more important now than ever. Over 30 physicians in Central Texas, tired of seeing patients fail at losing weight themselves, opened Muscle-Wise Nutrition. This is a coach-managed weight loss program that targets fat and spares muscle. The 4 Muscle-Wise locations have taken off over 19,000 pounds from Texas dieters in the last few years. The combination of coaching and weekly body composition analysis to target the fat loss are the keys to success. The coaches teach you how to eat and live a healthy lifestyle. Email Sic'Em365 at musclewisenutrition.com today, and the coaches will contact you about their free educational seminars. Do not wait. Email today and start MuscleWise at Sic'Em365 at musclewisenutrition.com.
Central Texas traditions run deep, all the way to the vehicles we drive. That's why folks trust Alan Samuels. During Alan Samuels Jeep Adventure Days, get employee pricing for all on new 2020 Gladiator Sport and no payments for 90 days. Plus, the tougher-than-nails 2020 Jeep Renegade, 0 for 72, no payments for 90 days, or up to $6,250 in cash and subprime offers. Trusted. That's Alan Samuels, your friend in the car business.
This is Sic'Em365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sic'Em365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, so much more to unpeel, to digest and chew up. 254-339-1122 is the text line. And that's also the number to call, which, Stephen, we appreciate your call and all the text as well. We're going to get to a text in a minute. 2 things that are positive. Terrell Bernard won his 3rd Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. He won it twice last year at the end when he came in for Clay Johnston. He won it again this week in a loss. He was ridiculous how good he was. Also, J.T. Woods, the pick, and then the speed and the not give up, not quite DK Metcalf type, but as far as he could run to chase down the reverse or whatever it was on the opposite side of the field, that's a big-time play. That's a guy that is doing everything he can to try to make a play.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a reverse. It was just a broken coverage, and J.T. Woods had to basically sprint 20 yards downfield or 20 yards behind and catch up to make the tackle. Otherwise, that's 6 for Texas, and I think they actually did end up holding him to a field goal on that drive, if I remember correctly, rather than a touchdown. So at that point, they still kind of had a chance, but
I thought, was it Mark Milton who chased somebody down on the opposite sideline? I'm not saying.
That was J.T. Woods.
Okay, J.T. Woods. Okay.
Yeah, J.T. Woods is the one who made the play of chasing the player down.
Oh, Tory Black or whatever it was. Was that the long throw?
Tariq Black.
Tariq Black, yeah.
That was Tariq Black. He got wide open because of broken coverage, and J.T. Woods chased him down. Okay. And then he had an interception later on that was a ricochet off of Mark Milton. But, that was a great effort play and saved them some points there. It didn't end up mattering so much in the long run, but I guess it did in the way that, when they were starting to make that comeback, which, look, I love the fourth quarter comebacks, but, man, they don't need to be every game. Like, every game where you're down and you make a push at the end, like, it's all great, but – that was fun last year when every time you did it, practically it worked, but it's not so much fun this year.
Okay, here's a text from Ryan and Irving. The offensive line's the problem. Brewer is banged up because he's on the ground. No, that's the wrong one. I'm looking at the wrong. This is Ryan from Irving. I can understand the frustration on the players' part, but you just can't quit on your team. But as a fan, I'm so glad they are playing, but life has consequences for every action. I hope they learn from this. From Sam, do you guys think Charlie Brewer will be the starting quarterback against TCU? Here's Baylor, everyone listen to this. And then there's going to be a graphic. Doesn't mean it's going to change your mind. Doesn't mean that I'm trying to change your mind. Here's Baylor head coach Dave Aranda.
No, we feel good about Charlie. I think, talking with Charlie after the game, there's great disappointment. I think he's such a competitor and really felt this last week was one of his better weeks. I think a lot of it is us kind of finding ourselves and what we're comfortable doing offensively. And I think we made great strides from the West Virginia game to this game in terms of the ball came out quicker. right? I think we were able to throw more RPOs, which I know Charlie feels really comfortable throwing. We're able to get him out of the pocket more. We were in empty, throwing those option routes more. And so we're really kind of honing in on the things that he likes. And I think there's still other things that we can really detail and spend time on. And I think we'll continue to see improvement, and we need to.
Would you categorize that need for improvement just based on how few practices that you guys have had and the kind of the turmoil and turnover on the offensive line with different looks basically each game?
That's correct. Yeah, that's right. I think, it's when you can step away from it, it's always to say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're just going to build. There's times when you're in it, and this is the group I got, is what can we do with this group? How can we best achieve? Maybe we can try to help them by doing this or help them by doing that. And those things after a while drag you down. And so the ability to kind of to clean that out and really find the stuff that whether it's the move in the pocket, RPOs, right, empty throws, right, running the football, which we can do more of, and we need to do more of, then I think we'll take off. And I really do feel that. And being around in the locker room after yesterday's walkthrough, I felt that, or from our players, and they notice and they feel the improvement and the excitement of what's coming next with this game. And so I share in that excitement.
All right, that's Dave Aranda. And as he was wrapping that up, that was from earlier today, and I asked him about the passing game and going down the field as well when we have the one-on-one at 4. Connor from Flower Mound. Look, I know it's an unpopular, but it's time for Charlie to go. He should not be playing this poorly this far into his career. We would better off be served with a younger guy playing. I know the line isn't the best this season, but he has played so poorly, has been so disappointing this season, it seems like his head isn't in the game. We just heard Dave Aranda. That's an opinion, and a lot of you have that same opinion. A lot of you over the weekend, during the game, and since then have been just pounding away at Charlie Brewer. I even had somebody who I have a lot of respect for that does a podcast tell me they can't even talk about Charlie Brewer with me because I am blinded. So here is a quote from within the football program. To me, it is amazing to me when fans say anything bad about Charlie Brewer. He should have a statue. Please tell me one quarterback that could be hit like he's been hit the last 3 years and still go out there and lay it on the line. We don't get to the Texas Bowl without Charlie Brewer as our quarterback in 2018, and Matt Rule doesn't get paid millions of dollars without him. And the secondary text, it isn't him. Trust me, he's working his tail off. And I put tail in there. Has he been perfect? No. Has he missed some throws? Yes. Are there times when he could probably get better? Yes. Do better? Yes. But do you know that he just moved into second place all time among passing leaders at Baylor for passing yards ahead of Bryce Petty? Do you think he has the weapons that Bryce Petty had or RG3 had or that others?
Forget the weapons, because he had the offensive line those guys had.
Yeah, no.
They had men. They had 22, 23, sometimes fourth and fifth year guys, JUCO transfers. Randy Clements, when he was the offensive line coach at Baylor, and then what they did as well under Matt Rule was starting to get that. They had dudes. I mean, you rarely ever saw Robert Griffin III, Seth Russell, Bryce Petty, Nick Florence, Jarrett Stidham ever get hit. When they got injured, it's when they were outside the pocket. And I know that I can get crucified for this. I've said enough. I will ride and die with him until he can't play anymore. And I know some of you think that might be the case. That's my opinion on it.
I also think if you have a question about this, just simplify it. Dave Aranda is not in a position right now where he has to play buddy-buddy to anybody. I mean, this is his first year. This could be Charlie Brewer's last. So if Charlie Brewer's not the best guy to play, it's not in Dave Aranda's best interest just to placate him. The best players will play. If Bohannon or Zeno were markedly better than Charlie Brewer, then we wouldn't be having this discussion because they'd be in the lineup.
Yeah, they would be. I mean, like you said, there's nothing that ties Aranda to Charlie Brewer or makes him have to have him as a starting quarterback. I think that people let frustrations over a lack of arm strength. And by the way, you know, the arm strength question, what does Dave Aranda have to compare Charlie's arm strength to other than what he's seen over the last year? He wasn't here 3 years ago. He doesn't know what Charlie's arm looked like 3 years ago. He's got the arm that Charlie's had since last spring that he knows of. And, you know, I understand why people think there's a lack of arm strength or whatever. He's never had a great arm. I mean, let's face it, he's never had a great arm. He wasn't hitting perfectly healthy deep balls when he was younger. Yep. I mean, and then again, he had an even worse offensive line. So I think that people let their frustrations just focus in on him. And if you have frustrations over the lack of arm strength, hey, that's valid. I would love to see somebody who can throw it downfield a bit more as well. But he is who he is, and he's clearly better than the other guys on the team. Otherwise, those guys would be playing. Again, I get it. I get that you'd like to see a stronger arm. You'd like to see better decisions at times or whatever. But I think that we're putting all of the eggs in his basket and going, yeah, the offensive line stinks too, or that guy's not as good as well, but all the blame goes to Charlie for some reason.
Charlie is not the problem. This is from Carl. Not at all. He is a real leader. And then there's some people pointing the fingers at the offense with Larry Fedora, one of the comments he made to us, remember, a few weeks back. He never did watch film of what they did. He just didn't do that, and that's something that we don't have a chance to visit with Fedora or anyone on staff. It's just a different deal. And so we can't ask or follow up with any of that, even though we do our due diligence trying to get information as much as we possibly can. 254-339-1122. My conversation with Dave Aranda at 4. Phil Bennett breaks it all down for us at 5. What does he see as a defensive coach? What's wrong and the problems? And is there an issue with stretching the field for Baylor offensively? He's going to tell you that at 5. We'll have him on today as well. Paul?
Matt in D.C., thanks for your call. You're on Sic'Em365 Radio.
Guys, how's it going? Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Just a couple things. I mean, Charlie's the starting quarterback. People just need to realize the best players are going to play. So if and until he's not the best player, he's going to be the starter. These coaches are not going to just put him out there for no. If Gary or Zeno were better, he'd play, and that's with every single position. So everyone relax, calm down. I'm riding with Charlie until the coaches deem he's not the best option to win games, and until that happens, he's our guy. So let's just support the guy instead of ragging on him. He needs a better offensive line. The scheme is, I think, maybe hurting him. It definitely did on Texas. And the reality is, I'm looking at the positive now since the game's over. We had a chance to beat Texas. We held a team that scores 49 points to 26. So the defense is really showing consistency, what I've seen over just the 3 games. And especially in the first quarter, they just kept giving the ball to our offense, giving the ball to the offense. 3 and out. Here's the ball. And we did nothing with it. 3 points in one half of football. We got to change the scheme or something. But we're riding with Charlie. Get over it, fan base. Let's support each other. Support Charlie. And with the guys possibly leaving, hey, everyone gets frustrated and deals with it. And all these people talking about is like, well, if they want to leave, they shouldn't be leaving all this. Well, hey, I guarantee no one was complaining when Jalen Hurd transferred in and Jake Burton. We get a lot of transfers coming in. I don't see y'all calling them out. So, but as soon as somebody wants to leave, we go against them. So, but hey, support the players while they're here, and if that's their choice, support them regardless. And I'll hang up and listen.
Matt, thank you very much. And, T-Rex made that comment to me on Twitter last night. People get upset when players leave, but they love them when they come. People get upset when players decommit and go elsewhere, but they love it when somebody decommits from somewhere else to sign with Baylor. It's part of being a fan. I get it. It's kind of like, I get it. I've had to have people kind of calm me down a little bit. David, the criticism of Brewer or Fedora or of the whoever, it's part of being a fan. I get it, but it's just, to me, some of it's unreasonable.
Well, you got to realize that is fans, and that's never going to stop entirely. I mean, you could explain it. You could draw it out in black and white right in front of that person. You could spend a full day trying to explain, and there's some people it's not going to matter. I mean, I had somebody 5 minutes into the game who clearly, this person hates Charlie Brewer. Like, it's every Saturday, it's all Saturday long, and it's all Charlie Brewer, right? It's always his fault. The defense gives up. Charlie Brewer scored in the previous drive. Then it's like that kind of thing. And so he's got his crowd that's just never going to be pleased with him, never going to give him any credit. And if they do, it's like, okay, well, yeah, but still, he should have won that Oklahoma game. And that's just what it is. There's certain people that just want the other guy, even if they don't even know what the other guy's capable of. And, Zeno has a much better arm, yes, but does he have everything else that's better than Charlie? Clearly not. Gary Bohannon, same thing. So
practice, focus, film work,
that's the other thing.
Understanding the offense. And again, in this particular case, even Charlie's had no practice.
Right. So I think he's got to step up as the veteran. I'm kind of at a point, too, where I'm curious to see what the future looks like with somebody else behind center, somebody else who can hit some deep shots, with regularity. But I'm not going to throw Charlie out with the bathwater because he's done a lot for this program, and that doesn't mean he's got a job for life. But clearly, he's the guy they think is the best for the job right now.
817, I'm a Charlie Brewer fan. I'm not a Brewer fan in this offense. I blame the play caller. Totally.
Fair.
Get the damn ball out faster, or Bohannon or Zeno will play after he's concussed. The play calling is killing Charlie. From Mike. Some fans think they're better coaches, quarterbacks, running backs, linemen, defenders than who they criticize. I have to wonder why they're not out there, and most haven't been and also done it.
I do think the play calling kind of screwed things up as well. I mentioned earlier just the getting away completely from running the football, and then Dave Aranda in that clip we just played said, got to run the football, and clearly running the football will be a bit heavier on their minds with the news this weekend. But there were things they could have done a little bit differently. There's some very quick, the reverse on 3rd and 7 or something like that. That play just had no chance of being executed correctly. And there were a couple moments like that where I do think it wasn't so much what the offense was doing as the position that they were put in.
Yeah, that's a play, the reverse. That's a play that I get nervous about running back if I've practiced 12 weeks in a row because it's not a high percentage play.
On first down.
And one of the things about Texas is no matter what they had given up defensively, they've got guys that can go sideline to sideline. Their problems have been they've been out of position, like Baylor was 4 or 5 times on Ellinger throws, or tackling poorly. But them going sideline to sideline is not a problem. So that's something that's kind of interesting with that one. But
you know what's really frustrating about that game on Saturday is and it's very much like West Virginia. This team could very well be 3-0, and they don't deserve to be 3-0, but they very well could be. And I think that's what's the most frustrating thing is, you have played poorly, but you still played well enough to win games if you just played a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But you look at the statistical categories. They were either leading or very close to everything in that game on Saturday. Turnovers, penalties, time of possession, all that was pretty much even, or they led in. The only thing that they did not lead in was the final score. And that's the frustrating aspect of that game as well.
All right, we will eventually get you the men's and women's basketball schedules have been released this afternoon. No surprises, but we'll get into that as well. Great job, Armstrong and CJ, on the graphics and the audio and much, much more. Well, we appreciate that. We will have Dave Aranda 101 on many things, Ebner, Lovett, the team, what does it mean going forward, all of that, and the offense. And you know what? We will get into the fact that he punted at the 30-yard line, which got more reactions from anybody ever I think I've ever tweeted inside of a game, because I didn't understand it either. And he flat out took and owned that up today, the way he answered that.
That's great. He should, because that was a very puzzling decision. And that's another thing I'm talking about of everybody will focus on, or a lot of people will focus on Charlie, but there was also things like that occurred.
When that play happened, I had gotten up and I'd walked to my sink to put a glass in there, and I turned around and I thought I saw Isaac Power out there, and I said, oh man, they must have lost,
or just taking a delay of game.
They must have lost yards on that last play, and I wasn't paying attention. And then I went and stood there, and I was like, was he at the damn 30?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And I thought that's just puzzling.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
And then he brought a machine gun to a pistol fight with his leg.
And then it was even a part of me, did Isaac Power understand, because haven't talked to him either, did he understand, the ball being down at the 15-yard line, but it went right into the end zone. From T-Rex, and then we come back with the high school coaches from Mart and Crawford, Dave Aranda at 4. Lance McElhaney, former SMU quarterback, will join us today at 4:30.
They got beat this weekend.
Yep. T-Rex, it's time to decide. You either lay down your sword and give up, or you rise above it, your head, and keep swinging until the battle is won. Nothing is over until it's over. I'll see you in Waco, Ames, Lubbock, and Norman. Sick the entire world and never stop swinging. T-Rex, we love your passion. God, I hope you get drug tested every day. I swear to God, I do. I love him, though. He's crazy.
I think whatever they put in Monster Energy drink comes out of his spine.
Yeah. All right. When we come back again, Mart and Crawford, both of them continue to do what they do. Mart has a game tonight, and then they play Saturday against Bremont. So that's also Players of the Week at around 4:45. Phil Bennett at 5, and so much more to get to, including a bunch from you. We love you, man. We appreciate everything you're doing, being a part of it, watching it, contributing, and much, much more. If you could only know what goes on behind the scenes throughout every day with our staff, from all the ones I mentioned at the very beginning, with the story last night to the story this morning to what we do every day here. This is Sic'Em365 Radio. Ideal MRI. I drove by. I went to Office Depot this weekend, and while I was in the Central Texas Marketplace, which is where Ideal MRI is located, I see their sign that is right there in the middle of it every time. And I always remember when I went inside there. When I went inside there because I had an appointment to look at my left shoulder. When I went inside there because I needed an MRI. When I went inside there because I wanted to know really what was going on with my shoulder. I'd already had a rotator cuff surgery back 5 years ago. So I got the appointment. They called me at the appointment. Didn't take, maybe 5 minutes. Checked in beforehand, got there, and just made sure I was on time. Everything flawless. Texan specialist sat down with me in the room next to that and said, okay, this is what's going to happen. And I've been through some MRIs before. And I told him up front, sometimes these things get to me, because I'm space around my face is not something I really like. It was absolutely one of the most comfortable MRIs that I've dealt with, because of start to finish how good and how calm they were. And also, I then got my test results. This is a big old state-of-the-art technology MRI machine that they have inside the Central Texas Marketplace. And Ideal MRI, Dr. Rob Maxey called me, told me the results, didn't surprise me, and then sent me all of what I would need to send on to Dr. David Haynes at Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, because he had done the surgery on my shoulder. Clear as a bell. Your doctor knows about Ideal MRI. If you need an MRI for something that's more than bumps and bruises, broken, shredded, torn, or whatever else it might be, ligaments, muscles, or bones, ask your doctor about idealmri.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trust, and when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance in McLennan County takes pride in backing Central Texas football. Our agents would like to help with your insurance needs. Call 254-772-8090 for an agent near you.
Hi, this is Mart High School football coach Kevin Hoffman, and I'm a proud listener and supporter of the all-new Sic'Em365 radio show with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
This segment with Mart Panthers football coach Kevin Hoffman is sponsored by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine, First National Bank of Central Texas.
Kevin, it's obviously been a unique year and even a more unique week for you with two games. The one you focus on first is Wortham on a Monday night. How different has it been, or have your players been able to kind of get right into a routine?
Oh, there is no set routine anymore, especially this year with everything's going on. It's been so crazy, preparing for teams and then finding out the day before that they're going to have to postpone the game, push it back, change the schedule. But we tried to keep it as normal as we could and just kind of change the days a little bit here and there, but keep the practice schedule as close to normal as we could.
Wortham obviously scores a lot of points, but you do as well. Your thoughts about what they do and your concerns about what you have to make sure you manage and contain?
Yeah, we got to do what we do, and that's play Mart Panther football. And, we got to continue to spread the ball around on offense and get it to every one of our guys that can make plays. And defensively, they like to sling it around a little bit. They got some guys that can run. The plan is same as it is every week. Do what we do: shut down the running game, force them to throw the football, and run the ball ourselves.
You have to focus on Wortham. That's next. That's who you have. But do you go straight into routine? There's that word again I used, and there's no routine. How do you handle the week when it comes to your schedule? You play Monday night, you play Saturday against Bremont in what should be a really good football game. Is that something you already have that planned out? So what do you do?
Yeah, fortunately for us, we did. When we thought we were going to play Bremont a couple of weeks ago, we had our weekend and we had our game plan. We had it all together. We practiced that game plan and had it, up until the day before when we found out we were going to postpone the game. So we've already done a week's worth of prep for them, and then so we kind of put that on the back burner. But we met this weekend as coaches. Last week we did our prep for Wortham, and obviously we're playing them on Monday. But we met this weekend to go back over our plan for Bremont and then see what we needed to maybe tweak or change or add to it. So we did that this weekend. So we're ready for the game plan for Bremont, but we got to play Wortham first. We got to get that done on Monday, and then we'll go right into Tuesday and then try to have a normal week of an extra a couple days of preparing for Bremont.
Hi, this is Crawford AD head football coach Greg Jacobs, and you're listening to Sic'Em365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
This segment with Crawford Pirates football coach Greg Jacobs is sponsored by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine, MP Electric.
Well, Greg, you continue to roll, but this one here, this game with Bosqueville, man, that was a great test, and you kind of mentioned that they had some people that you had to deal with, but the fact you got pushed a little bit, how good was that? Even though you got pushed, you came away with the win.
Well, we knew going into this game they were a very talented group. They've been playing really well in recent weeks, and they're just a much stronger team than they've been in the past, and they're playing with a lot more confidence. So we knew we were going to be challenged going into this game, and we struggled a little bit early, but boy, to our kids' credit, we found a way to overcome it.
You're not going to play this week because Itasca is out. They've canceled the rest of the year, and then Valley Mills after that. Was it important because of the fact you're not playing to have somebody push you like that?
Oh, most definitely. when you play people like that, they they tend to find your weaknesses and try to exploit it. And so that just lets us know where we need to strengthen ourselves. And so it benefits us in the long run, yeah.
What do you do this week, and how do you handle, really, you don't have a game for almost a couple of weeks?
Well, we're going to treat this week, we're going to try to heal up a little bit because this past game was a battle. And so we're going to spend some time healing up, and we'll get back to some fundamentals. I don't know how the weather will be this week, but we'll refer back to that and just focus on our fundamentals and taking care of ourselves, and then prepare for Valley Mills the following week.
Do you start to already look down the road? I know how in the days of old you could have who you're going to play, the brackets and whatever, and I'm not saying you're doing that, but have you already started looking ahead to what might be that first round and what you do going forward?
Yeah, we've looked a little bit, just taking a peek at the other district, kind of seeing how it's shaping up. I think it'll come to more fruition at the end of this next week, so we might have a better idea of kind of, where we stand after this next week.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to Sic'Em 365 Radio.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Brewer, easy, touchdown Bears, love it.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sic'Em365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go, starting this 4 o'clock hour, and the response and reactions to a couple of the quotes about Charlie Brewer are pretty much what you expect, kind of the same type of reactions we've gotten or we saw or were sent to us, in fact, over the weekend as well during the game against Texas and ever since that time. This is one that I like this guy. He's really good at what he does. Nobody is saying, certainly not me, that they know the backup would be better. Just for acknowledgement, the current quarterback play is not good. It's very bad, in fact. The quoted sources say nobody should even criticize the quarterback. That's kind of like you're kind of splitting hairs there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so, because I didn't read the quote exactly like that. I read the quote as more defending Charlie in a way, yes, because of all the criticism, but I don't think it's saying like, hey, you're not allowed to say anything bad about him. I think people have been saying bad things about Charlie Brewer for 3 years running. I think maybe just some people are kind of finally tired of hearing it a little bit, and especially knowing more about the inner workings and what goes on every day in practice than the people who are yelling the loudest. And so I thought Paul brought up a great point about the depth chart. For everybody clamoring, I never hear anybody clamoring put Gary in. You ever think about, I see it maybe once out of every 10 put guys in.
He's the number 2 guy on the depth chart.
I had somebody tell me that over the weekend when I mentioned that. They said that doesn't always mean that you're number 2. That's just the way the depth chart is set up.
Most of the times it does.
No, it could also be something that you're trying to get in. You're trying to motivate somebody.
Let me ask you this: who's come in when Charlie's been out of the game?
No, it's been Bohannon. Yeah.
He didn't get that because he won an essay contest. I mean, he did that because he's doing it in practice.
Maybe he did in Arkansas. But I get what you're saying, and we're not making light of that. But I
want to make it very clear. I don't think Charlie Brewer is a perfect player in any way. There are things about his game or things that he's not able to do or that we don't see right now that are frustrating. But, just because someone's not of the opinion of, yes, let's bench that guy and put in the young guy who's thrown a couple of really impressive passes doesn't mean you're caping for Charlie Brewer or defending him until the death. I'm only arguing that he's clearly the best quarterback they have because he's the one they keep rolling out there. So I'm not going to defend him over every little thing because certainly he should have had about 2 interceptions, if not 3 on Saturday. He should have. There were bad throws, bad reads. He didn't see where the defender was 2 or 3 times. And, that's absolutely worthy of criticism. But just because not everyone's advocating for benching him or he's the biggest issue or the biggest problem doesn't mean that you think he's perfect.
By the way, one of the guys that liked the Charlie Brewer quote, I just happened to see this. There's a lot of you, but one of them is Garrett Mcguire, one of the walk-on quarterback who earned a scholarship from Don Robin, and we're going to update Ebner and Lovett and then also Dave Aranda. I would want to believe that is the case, but we have seen coaches across all sports stick with the quarterback or pitching ace or goalie longer than they should have, so it's possible it can happen in Waco. I'll trust for now they truly believe Charlie or CB is our best option to win. What do I know? I'm telling you right now, this is just us doing our due diligence. If, in fact, there was evidence, and by the way, these guys haven't had a lot of chance to earn that evidence either because of the practices, not just the way the offensive line is set up, so that's part of it too. But if, in fact, that's the case, there were no spring drills. So right now, Charlie Brewer is the answer. He's the answer. Is he the answer to every question? No. Is he the answer to every solution? No. But it's hard if you're Jacob Zeno or Gary Bohannon to get the reps right now, too, to maybe show something other than what's on film from last year. 2 for 6 against Oklahoma, 2 spectacular throws. Didn't do much against Georgia. Of course, not many people do. So it's not as if these guys, you can question the calls. You can question at times Charlie's playing. But right now, what is the loyalty that Dave Aranda has to Charlie Brewer?
None, and that's why I brought that up with Craig
What's
earlier.
the loyalty that Larry Fedora has to Charlie Brewer?
None. They're just here.
George Munoz.
None of them.
It's right now, at this moment, he's the option. And that doesn't mean it's always the best option. It's just like your left guard is not the best option at times. Why isn't someone bitching about the offensive line?
Oh, there's plenty of people bitching about the offensive line. Are you kidding?
Or how come it's not right guard? Why isn't Bettier? What about?
Because they're not the
quarterback.
They're not the quarterback. I mean, it's
yeah.
pretty simple what the answer is there. Not a lot of people are sitting there just diving in on O-line play. But they're very quick to say, hey, Charlie shorted that throw, but then completely ignore the fact that he had a guy 6 inches from his face when he threw it, And look, again, I don't think he makes all the perfect throws. I think he makes some bad decisions. I think there's games where he's definitely just appearance-wise doesn't appear to be always locked in. I think of West Virginia a couple of years ago. It just seems to happen from time to time. And it's all frustrating. I get the frustrations. I absolutely do. It's frustrating to sit there and watch an offense not do anything basically for 3 quarters or not take advantage of what they have done and put themselves in a hole again at the end of the game to try and go have these magical game-winning drives again and make it interesting again. It's just that the magic's not there to the extent it was last year. So games they were pulling off last year, they're not pulling off this year. And that's the reality of it.
Where would the feeling be, even with the quarterback play, how you want to say it is? Had Mayers hit field goals against West Virginia, they won the game. And or the one against Texas, and eventually maybe you get something happen even earlier when the game is 6-3 or 13-3 or whatever it was. It would be a little bit different because winning, quarterbacks are measured by their wins. Has Charlie played flawlessly? Absolutely not. I don't know if he ever has. Never expected him to. But there aren't many practices for anyone to earn extra playing time, even if, in fact, Brewer, Zeno, or Bohannon had those opportunities.
Well,
and here, one more thing. It's not that you can't question at times what's going on with the quarterback play or the offense. Absolutely, that's what you should do. There are times I do that. But it's like this thing that Charlie Brewer should be put into a closet and then lock it. That's the part that I don't get.
I think we've made our point on Charlie Brewer because the people we're talking to are going to have their opinions anyways, and they're not going to suddenly go, you know what, you're right. Zeno or Bohannon must not be better. So I think it's kind of pointless. But the other thing that you would have to do in that situation is, are you prepared to put a guy in and put him in full throttle? Because you can't just stick a guy in for a couple series and say, here's your shot, and then he doesn't perform well, and then you put Charlie back in. You can't do it that way. So you got a pretty monumental decision to have to make of hey, this guy is going to be the guy. We're going to bench this dude who's been our guy for so long. But if you do that, you got to let that new guy ride. You got to let him have his ebbs and flows.
Even if he's a mess.
Yeah, even if he's a mess, because what's the point otherwise?
Yeah. And then the option is, well, at least he's getting snaps for the future. Well, Charlie Brewer also might be your future next year, too. You don't know that.
Yeah, I'm going to make an executive decision for you and your sanity. No more. No more of this.
All right,
no,
here's my conversation.
I really wish you would delete Twitter.
I had a chance to visit with Dave Aranda earlier today on many things. Trusted Ebner and John Lovett, who as of now, and he mentioned this at 11, are a part of the football team. And they expect him to play on Saturday. Instead of just asking him that same question, I tried to ask about Ebner and Lovett in different ways. How this came about, what's going on, how about teammates, how about maybe you kind of prevent this from being week to week, can you do that? And yes, the passing game and stretching the field and much more. My conversation with Baylor's Dave Aranda.
Baylor football coach Dave Aranda with us on Sic'Em365 Radio. Man, there's always moving parts. And I asked you a couple of weeks ago, at the same time I said, is your team at any time possibly at a breaking point with all the ups and the downs and the delays? Is that kind of what we may have seen with Ebner and Lovett? It just kind of all boiled over?
I think, I know it's been hard for our players. And it's been hard for our coaches too, but specifically for our players. Just the quarantine in the beginning, the racial injustice, the feeling of I'm not worth what this other man is worth. The hardship in learning from a distance through Zoom. I think, being isolated and being away from your team and, people you care about. And then I think, and that's just if there's nothing else going on in a young man's life, and then you have other things, personal things that young men go through, and it just adds on. And there's a feeling there's a feeling sometimes of just it's a lot, and there's a weight that I think comes down, and I think coaches and players feel it. And the thing that I always try to speak to is that the reason why I'm in coaching is for times like this. This is we can really make a difference, and we can really affect people in a positive way, and we can really be an influence for good. And so I think the continued communication on character matters, on treating people the right way. No man is an island, right? What you do unto others will come back into its own, right? I am because you are, right? And so just the connection, being seen, heard, and valued, I think, I've always believed those things. I think those things are heightened right now. And it gives us the ability to greater know our people, and they're our most valuable part of the program.
Do you think the players learn anything from this as well about maybe not getting this to a point where it can get out in the public to become a distraction? Is that just, of course, they're young men. All of us make mistakes, no matter our age. But is that something that that they can learn from this, and vice versa?
I think so. I think you sure would like when there's emotional peaks and valleys. You would like to be able to talk through it and work through it in a way where there's some privacy. But I think we and I and everyone understands kind of today's climate and world and all of it. And I think just like our guys and our players and just their approach, their their heart being wide open, their wanting to connect, they're knowing that this could be said or that could be said, and not really caring to a degree, and just wanting to feel that connection. I think it's pretty strong when you're in the midst of that. And I'm proud of our team, and I think we can learn from this, though, per your point. So I think moving forward, that will be a point.
They are two single-digit players voted on by the teammates, and that's probably what stunned a lot of people. Lovett for 4 years. Is this something that you already have addressed with the team? Did they move on? Did they welcome them back? Is there any kind of issues there?
No, I think a lot of the majority of the guys that I've talked to, all talked about how much they mean to the team, how important they are, how much they, just their attitude, their heart, their energy. And so I know that, we get back together again, we can reconnect and then get going on focusing on the opponent that we've got this week.
Thanks for your time on talking about it. How do you make sure or prevent this being a week-to-week issue based on success? There's going to be these distractions you've dealt with since even when you arrived back in the early part of the year may not change over the next several weeks.
Right. Yeah, I think just spending the time with your players, I think going past, I think all of this, it's bigger than football. It's recognizing, that you never really know what's going on with someone until you reach out to them and check up on them and visit with them and ask them how they're doing and take time outside of football. And I think, that a lot of that is easier said than done when things are clicking with football. When things aren't, is when you're challenged in that piece. But I think nothing's more important than making sure that that everyone's in a good space. Everyone knows that we see them, we hear them, we value them. And so I think that's a big takeaway.
Is this something that as a head coach you have to deal with even more so than when you were an assistant coach or coordinator that can take things off your plate?
There was this, though, I think as a coordinator you had it. It was just on one side of the ball. I think what's different about this is just like the time that we're in, and so I think there's, I think that just the stresses of being away from people, of just not always having the community that you're used to having. I think there was things that we were doing prior that, or things that maybe happened last year, community-wise, whether it was watching tape and eating a pizza together, or watching tape and having Taco Tuesday together, and doing all this stuff where we can't do that anymore, because of COVID protocol and these things, and social distancing, and so it's just that stuff I think piles up, and I think coaches kind of feel the brunt of it. Players definitely do, and we've got to continue to reach out for each other and be there, outside of football.
I asked you this in the postgame about you being able to stretch the offense, and there was a play where I know it was obvious you were about to take a shot downfield and you had no time. Is that something that comes with Coach Fedora learning Charlie learning Coach Fedora, or is there so many moving parts with your offensive line that it's just not something you can do right now?
I think there's been a fair amount of moving parts. I think all of these things are, to a degree, for me, David, hard to talk about just because of I don't want it to sound like it's this or it's that and excuses, but I just, I do feel moving forward that, we just took a test Sunday and everyone's negative, and we've had a bunch of negative tests back to back, and I think we're going to have, we still have 2 more tests to take, but we're going to have everybody at this game, and so we haven't had that yet, and so again, 2 tests out, and then we're going to have everybody at this game where they're practicing the whole week together. And so we haven't had that either, and so I think the ability to do that, and then, but not only that, but then to focus and to really buy the stuff that we're going to use, not just rent it throughout the week, but buy it and own it, and spend the time to rep it and drill it and completely own this play or this series or this package, and then let it loose on Saturday, I think will pay dividends, and there'll be continued improvement.
Does that include Galvin, Xavier, and Christian Morgan?
Yes.
I think I just heard you smile. Physically, I think I heard you just smile.
Yeah.
I know that this has been so up and down. You could never have written a book about a first-year head coach dealing with some of the everyone's dealing with this, but could you have ever thought about writing a book? Could you you might be able to after this year, huh, as the first-year head coach?
Well, I think, when you have anytime you have adversity, you find out a lot about yourself. You find out about the people that you're with, and you see the good in everybody. And maybe that's oversaid, but it is true. I think we talk about no man is an island, right? And so the connection and the checking in on people, the trying to help out other people really helps yourself. And so that for me is real, and I think this whole thing has allowed that to take place, and I think the connections are strong. But the ability to get our team together and get them gelled. I think there's a lot of improvement from the West Virginia game into the Texas game, and obviously I would have liked there to be even more, but there was improvement. You know, I was in the locker room yesterday after our walkthrough, and I felt that just going from guy to guy, just they talked about the improvement, and they could see it, and they could feel it. And so I think we just have to stay together, keep everybody trending the right way with these tests coming up, and then, keep working on the stuff that we're going to be doing in the game. And we've got ourselves a really good team, and we'll show out.
You're a defensive guy. You have to control all of it now as a head coach. How much do you watch what Gary Patterson's done with TCU defensively and admire what he does on that side of the ball?
I do quite a bit. I think, I remember coming up as a coach and always, hey, somebody has Gary Patterson installing this defense on VHS tape, and can I get that, right? Or there's a DVD of Gary Patterson installing this, or I think it was Coach Glasgow installing this. Dave, do you have that? No, I need to get that. And so then I would watch those clinic tapes, or they're clinicking their players, or they're clinicking. This is from years ago. This is old stuff. This is back when I was at Cal Lutheran and Delta State and stuff, and I'm looking at it, and it's all just the level of detail, the thoughtfulness, the how specific they were, their coaching axioms. I mean, everything was thought out, planned out. There was no freewheeling, and so you had ultimate respect just in the presentation of it, and then obviously, their play, and just watching them now, I know they're working through an identity and getting there and everything, but the level of effort they play with, right, the toughness and the hard edge they play with, right, if they know out of a formation what you're doing, they're going to do everything in their power to stop that. And I think that's really one of the secrets to their success, is that they unabashedly make you left-handed. And so I think it's going to be a challenge for us for sure.
Speaking of Cal Lutheran, I heard when you could play, before you had to end your career, that when you came through a hole to make a tackle, to have contact, Tom Herman last week said that those collisions were as violent as anything he'd ever heard or seen before. You were crazy back then. You played like that, huh?
Oh man, no. Well, I had actually like muscles back then, I guess. That they all went away. My head stayed the same size, but everything else went away.
Yeah.
No, life is hard, man.
Are you glad now that are you relieved right now that everything's been cleaned up with Ebner, Lovett, the team, and you have people back? Is it just kind of like, not that you can take a deep breath in this day and age, but you can maybe take a deep breath and go forward with a normal week?
Yeah, I think, this makes us stronger. I think this all allows us to connect with our people and to spend the time where the time needs to be spent. And so I'm excited. I think I know our team is. I know those two specifically are. And so really looking forward to a good week.
Baylor football coach Dave Aranda on Sic'Em365 Radio.
Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Here we are now as the month is winding down, and they still have many of their dealer discounts when it comes to Jeep or, of course, what they do with Ram trucks. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Loop 340, east of 84. The Lone Star Crew Cab with Hemi or EcoDiesel, 0% financing for 72 months, no payments for 90 days, or you also have the option to choose $9,250 in cash. Ram with the highest pickup owner loyalty in America. A lot of dealerships are running out of inventory, or at least not as much as they'd like. Well, Alan Samuels has dealerships and friendships with dealerships all around the South, all around the country, and they can get what you want, especially if you need what you need when it comes to Ram trucks for farmers, ranchers, or business folks. The Jeep Adventures Days. Right now, get employee pricing for all in the 2020 Gladiator Sport, no payments for 90 days. 2020 Jeep Renegade, tougher than nails. 0% for 72 months, no payments for 90 days, or up to $6,250 in cash and subprime offers. So you have something with everything on the lot. Some sort of discount, some sort of incentive, some sort of reason to buy it. If that's what you're looking for, ask one of the sales reps what you're doing, what you need, and how they can help you, and they'll do it. And they, of course, continue to watch what's happening when it comes to making sure everything within the dealership is disinfected and safe. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sic'Em365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Welcome back to Sic'Em365 Radio.
Third down and 18 for the Mustangs. Michael Haney coming down the line. Keeps it. Breaks it big. First down. Read it right up the middle.
The Sic'Em365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour, we'll put the brakes on for now. Discussion about Baylor, the 1-2, the loss to Texas, and also the latest, the status that Ebner and Lovett are back with the team for now. Lance McElhaney, Highland Park great, SMU great, and also one of the most successful quarterbacks ever in college football. Join us on Sic'Em365 Radio. How much do you still reflect back when you see or hear a highlight of you when you were at SMU or even Highland Park?
How much do I reflect on it? Well, that's a long time ago, so not too often.
You had a great run at SMU. Obviously, the team was very, very successful. What, in your opinion, was the difference with what the success you had there during your time?
Well, I think at that time we had actually I think a pretty simple offense. And if I were to say that maybe the talent of athlete that we had, both on offense and defensive side of the ball, as well as, kickers and punters. I mean, we had a lot of really good athletes, and it was a lot of fun, and we put a bunch of wins together.
Do you miss watching the triple option in college football? Because you guys ran it so well.
I do miss it, but I understand how defenses have changed. So, now linebackers are running 4.3s and 220, and, just it's a different game, and the speed of the game has really picked up, and it's changed quite a bit. But I do miss, watching option offense.
Yeah, it's changed quite a bit. I mean, even teams that ran the triple option or whatever, there's not much of it. The academies do a pretty good job of that, and sometimes even they're changing as well. How difficult was it, not difficult, how rewarding was it? You had teams at Highland Park that were amazing. You had the one crazy game with Plano 29-28 when you lost. But now Highland Park is on this run, Lance, that has been phenomenal after a long drought of state championships. How proud have you been of the program?
I love it. I think Randy's done a great job coaching a bunch of really, good kids who have, work hard, and that's been the trend for 30, 40 years. And, I was under the tutelage of Scott Smith, who was a Baylor Bear, and he was a senior quarterback when I was a freshman, and he kind of taught me the ropes, and I'm thankful for how he helped me. But the basis of it, Frank Beavers at the time when we had it going back then, really was a different offense for most high school football, but it was a fun offense, and got to take it on into college, and again, was able to be associated or surrounded by a bunch of good athletes. And because of that, we won a bunch of games.
You had, when you have the running backs that you had in James and Dickerson and in that option, what was the confidence level like when you were going to pitch it, knowing that, like, whatever, most of the time I've made the right decision?
Well, the offense was pretty simple in that our tight end, we typically ran towards the tight end, and the tight end was blocking down. So I had either a strong safety or a defensive end. And back in those days, receivers blocked quite a bit too. So, my goal was to have the guy at the end of the line get me because I had the ball. And if he took me, then I knew the ball was going to be in better hands. So it was a fun offense to run.
What are your first memories of seeing Eric Dickerson? Just in general, meeting him for the first time, but then seeing him out on the football field for the first time. What do you recall from that?
Well, Eric was a sophomore when I was a freshman, and again, we had a talented offensive line and pretty good receivers, and but Eric was a special breed, and I just remember, typically I'd pitch the ball and get hit and be on the ground, but could watch him, run away. And if you guys have seen him run, he runs kind of upright, but yeah. He could just fly. And Craig was the same. He was a little bit more of a hard-nosed runner, and but we, it was really fun to have those guys as teammates.
I mentioned Highland Park and the run that they had been on, winning multiple state championships back to back to back, it seemed like to me. I remember I covered a game when they played in Tyler against Marshall back in 2007 or 8. That was the one that ended the drought, won 59-0. What about your alma mater in SMU, who we've talked about when you were there, but also what they've done and how much they've turned the corner? I know they had a tough loss over the weekend that knocked them out of the unbeaten, but what they've been able to accomplish.
I'm just tickled to death that SMU's kind of where they are. We've had a couple of really fun years, and last year was really fun, and this year has been fun. Unfortunately, we came across Cincinnati last year a couple days ago, and those guys are very big, athletic, and came to play. And we just, I went to the game, and we just didn't have much. But the way I look at it, we're 5-1, and we have Navy coming in this weekend. 6-1 doesn't sound so bad, and I don't know if we could be 11-1 or 10-1. We didn't get the opportunity to play TCU, but we can still win a bunch of games and have a really good season. So that's kind of the goal.
Lance, I know that you've talked about this in your life, probably to excess, but the NCAA made an example out of SMU, and I'm not trying to take a side on any of that because of the rules that were being broken all over the place, and it took forever for SMU to get back to where they are right now. Do the guys who play for that team and who are at SMU and have gone through that kind of feel something different about it because they were made an example of, and nothing has changed? I mean, if it had been for a purpose other than to make an example of someone, I could see where, all right, you could live with it, but it's not changed really a thing in the NCAA.
It's a tough topic. I went through school, having, being right in the middle of all that, but really had you might think I'm blowing smoke, but had no clue that stuff was going on. And, there was a handful of, I'm sure you guys have seen the 30 for 30 on that topic. And, we were, we were responsible for, mistakes and, I think today, I couldn't tell you, but I would have to imagine that there's still, high school kids being heavily recruited and promised, nowadays with debit cards and you name it. It's still probably going on, but I'm not aware of it going on at SMU anymore.
How much did that break your heart, Lance, when all that came down and the run you had, the celebrations, the Southwest Conference titles, the memories, turning the corner? How much, when all that went down, did it break your heart?
Well, obviously there was enough that was being done that we were in the wrong, and I'm not going to say that I'm not responsible for what went on. I have again, I didn't have a whole lot of knowledge of that stuff going on at that time, but I got out of there, being a part of a really good team, for 4 years and had we won a bunch of football games and we had a great run. And then, 2 years later, after I was gone, we had the death penalty come down. So, it was sad. And what was really sad was not having football for a couple of years and then trying to come back out of that, has been, I lived, 2 blocks from campus and was always still very involved and wanted to be good again, if you will. And it just took forever. And, we had our share of coaches kind of come and then go. And, I think now we're in a really good spot. I'm not crazy about the conference that we're in, but that shouldn't matter. What matters is to me, is winning football games. And if you win where you are, then things are they're gonna be fine. And that's kind of what we've had this last couple of years. I think we've, played good ball up until this past weekend, but just keep winning and doing the right thing, and we're gonna end up being in a good spot. You mentioned that when they came back and tried to come back, I knew some of the players that played on those teams when they were allowed to play again. We saw what Baylor dealt with, and then the year that they had the new coaching staff with Matt Rule, 1-11. I've always thought that some of those players ought to be listed forever for being loyal. One of them, Jalen Peachtree, who's a senior now, for being a guy that was committed to Baylor and staying committed and stayed with Coach Rule along with many others during the very, very difficult times. Sometimes those guys are the ones that maybe deserve more mention because they were there when they had basically nothing to play for or play with. Well, it's you're right. It speaks to the character of a kid that's playing because he loves the game, and you get a good coaching staff in there like Coach Rule, and in our case, Forrest Gregg and various coaches that have kind of come and gone. Phil Bennett came through, and June Jones, and you're right though. It speaks volumes about the kid that's trying to get back on top, and again, I think we're now recruiting good, solid athletes, kids that are from in and around Dallas and want to be close to their home and their families to play. And we got a good little thing going, I think.
Lance, the Lincoln Property Company, if you don't mind, I'll update everybody what you've been doing. Obviously, you've been out of football, as you mentioned, for a long, long time, and just your career right now with what you're doing.
Well, I'm in the commercial real estate business in Dallas. I had the pleasure and joy and working with Roger Staubach for 20 years in the office leasing business for the Staubach Company, and I was there for 20 years, and it was just a great run. And Roger and the competitor, and I didn't too much care for that, but I'm still doing the same thing. It's with the company. Lincoln Property Company's been around for, I don't know, it seems like forever. It's a great local real estate company with great leadership, and I'm just tickled to be at Lincoln. The commercial real estate business is a little upside down right now in that the pandemic. I mean, you talk about retail business, or people aren't real excited about going back to their office, and that's the business that I'm in. So until things change and we get a little bit healthier, it's going to be kind of tough. But it's a great organization. I'm tickled to be there.
Well, working alongside Roger Staubach had to be that could always make the life better, huh?
Yeah, it was. Roger had a great company and great group of people to work with, and again, it was 20 great years in the business, and then I left there in 2010, so I've been bumping along trying to make real estate deals ever since, and we'll continue. I got bills to pay.
Lance, thank you very much for being on the show, reminiscing about Highland Park, SMU, and also what you're doing now. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah,
Thanks
yes,
so
sir.
much.
Lance McElhaney, Senior Vice President, Lincoln Property Company, mentioned he got a chance to work alongside Roger Staubach. That would be incredible. As good a person. Like, I always thought that, and I know the timing of this, I'm not trying to make a political statement here, but I always wondered, he would probably not want to deal with all what you have to deal with running for president, but I have a feeling Roger Staubach would be an incredible candidate.
Oh, yeah.
And I do. And I'm sure that there would be somehow, some way that people would even want to pick him apart. Nobody is flawless. Nobody is perfect. But I always thought that he could run for president. John F. Kennedy was a U.S. Naval Academy graduate. So was Roger Staubach, Heisman Trophy winner, Cowboys. It doesn't always work that way. Some guys have run for office and done well, and some have just flamed out. But I always thought about that with Staubach as well.
Well, I was surprised by how much they got smacked up by Cincinnati this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, when going over, the various channels trying to find games and then checking out the box scores afterwards, I mean, that was pretty surprising. And Cincinnati's a good team, obviously, but and they're undefeated now. They're a top 10 team, Cincinnati. So I don't think that Luke Fickell's going to be around for much longer. I think that was already kind of on the table anyways. And then you had the weird offseason that we had, but I think Luke Fickell's probably first in line for a big job this upcoming season with what he's done at Cincy. I mean, to have them as a top 10 team now and just beat the mess out of SMU in Dallas, mind you, 42-13. So that was pretty surprising.
Yeah, it was. It was. And, SMU's good now.
Yeah, there were not really many good
No,
games
it was a
this
terrible
week.
day. I mean,
Oklahoma State and Iowa State was close.
But I didn't get a chance to watch
yeah.
much of that.
Yeah.
Because it was at the same time Baylor was playing Texas, and that was kind of but there wasn't really what seemed like. I don't know if there was.
The Indiana game was pretty crazy.
I didn't get a chance to watch any of that except the 2-point conversion,
which wasn't a 2-point conversion. I don't think he got in. I would have ruled differently, but I know when they do the whole thing about you made the call that you made, so now you got to have the. I hate that because it changes so many calls that if you just did it, plain and simple, everything treated the same way, you probably reverse that call. But they couldn't prove that they could reverse it, even though they couldn't also prove that he actually scored.
You would have to get like a slide ruler or whatever.
And I was glad because I was watching Michigan and Minnesota thinking that game was going to be a little bit better. And the boat got rowed right to the bottom of the ocean. So
Michigan
you're not a big Michigan fan, but you don't like the boat. You don't like rowing that boat.
I don't like catch races. Although I've talked to several last year when I did College Football Focus on Minnesota. I did it 2 different times with 2 different reporters on purpose. I always want someone to agree with me. I wanted someone to be like, yeah, I hope he shoves the pedal straight up as,
Yeah.
But that's not no, he's legit. I'm like, all right, okay.
Well, I guess if it wasn't a very good weekend overall for the quality games, maybe that changes this weekend. I don't know.
I mean, it was a better weekend with the Big Ten being back. I do think that it provided at least some more options to view. I mean, you did have now Nebraska and Ohio State, or you had Wisconsin, and they've got a bizarre story going on there. Their brand new quarterback, the young man Mertz, comes in on Saturday, making his big debut and all of that, and proceeds to throw nearly 100% completion percentage. I think he had like 4 misses the entire day, 4 touchdowns, just went crazy. And Wisconsin doesn't play offense like that. They're normally like run the ball for 400 yards a game, but he was out there slinging it like they were in the Big 12 days, and now he's potentially out for 3 weeks because he tested positive for coronavirus, and the Big Ten rule is that you must sit out for 3
21
weeks.
days, yeah.
So that's crazy that he had that big debut, and now he's got to sit out for nearly a full month before he can play again.
Well, and what's going to be crazy about that is, say he's asymptomatic.
Yeah.
Or it's very mild. So he'll be better in 3 days, and then 18 days he won't get to be with his team.
Coming up next, the high school football players of the week, the Cadillac moment of high school football in Central Texas. Phil Bennett at 5, and also today at 5:30, Damian Sordeletta, the Lynchburg News on Liberty and the team that they have.
I was wrong. He had 1 incompletion.
Okay. So whoever the backup quarterback will still score 40-plus against Nebraska in that game. This is Sic'Em 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, they've got great deals. They've always got great deals for you, and they've had great deals ever since the pandemic started, and of course prior to that as well, but they've obviously taken a little bit of a different approach because of the pandemic. That's why the showroom is there and available for you to walk in. It's fully cleaned and sanitized. Employees are washing their hands, but they've also, over the last few months, been offering to bring the test drive to you because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority, and their priority is also getting you into a brand new vehicle with some money off. And right now you can get it all: a smooth, quiet ride in a first-class interior matched with power and durability. The GMC Sierra is the best truck on the road, and during Richard Carr's kickoff savings event, qualified buyers will score $9,000 off a 2020 GMC Sierra at Richard Carr. We've also got the 3-row Buick Enclave, an amazing value in a luxury SUV. During the kickoff savings event, all 2020 3-row Buick Enclaves are $10,000 off, or you get the versatile and nimble Buick Encore for only $19,900. And maybe you're ready to step up to the ultimate luxury and style of a Cadillac. Well, let Richard Carr bring the Cadillac experience to you with an XT4, XT5, or the full-size 7-passenger Cadillac XT6 and save $2,000. It's a kickoff savings event at Richard Carr. Score huge savings right now on all vehicles in stock. Go to richardcarr.com or see the deals, Highway 6 and the Imperial Exit, or give them a call and they will bring the test drive to you.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi. Great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco. House-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine. Best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sic'Em365 Radio.
Gaither in the Wildcat, throws it out in the flat. This is Weisner at the 40. And he gets loose, and there goes Trey. Forget it. Touchdown. 10-5. Touchdown.
The Central Texas Players of the Week is brought to you by Bird Culchin Ford.
All right. Players of the Week of staff voting. On offense, the Player of the Week is Ben Smedshammer, quarterback at Lorena, 12 of 22 passing, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, 81 yards and a touchdown run on a 28-21 against Yo. Defensively, it was Jordan Jackson, defensive end from Lorena, 7 tackles, 5 sacks. A quarterback pressure and a caused fumble. He had 3 sacks and caused a fumble on Yo's final drive that was trying to get down the field into Lorena territory, and Jordan Jackson just blew everything up.
Yeah, you know what that quarterback's favorite moment of the night was from him? Was the quarterback pressure, because they didn't hit him.
Yeah, it's the one time he didn't actually sack him. Eric Bashirs from Buffalo had a 95-yard kick return for a touchdown in the loss to Franklin. He was named our special teams player of the week. Now, a couple of guys this week, we're going to do this, and we're not everyone wins a ribbon. The overall players of the week. This is an insane stat line. I don't care if it's 6-man football or what. C.J. Lanehart of Parkview Academy. 19 carries for 465 yards and 9 touchdowns. He also threw for, I don't know, I blacked out the number, also threw a touchdown in a win against Mineral Wells Community Christian, 89-44. Yes, the game got out of hand. Yes, that's 6-man football. I don't care. He also plays defense and does a lot of stuff for them too. And then there's Jeff Kozowski's son, Seth, at Bremont. 228 yards rushing, 9 of 13 passing, 3 touchdowns in a win against Wortham, 64-30. He also, in the game, had, I think it was 6 tackles and also an interception and also blocked a couple of passes as well. And so Seth Kozowski, quarterback at Bremont, for his performance as well in the 64-30 win against Wortham. Biggest upset of the weekend had to be Heritage. We'll get into that with Craig in a minute. But here is our Cadillac moment for high school football in Central Texas.
Sic'Em365's Richard Carr Cadillac Moment with Central Texas High School Football is sponsored by Cadillac, where exceeding expectations is the standard.
Cooper Golke. I talked to his father, Bert, earlier today. Golke Farms out in the Crawford area. So Bosqueville and Crawford had this tremendous game. 27-20, Crawford won the game. Last minute, I guess there's like 3 minutes left in the game. I talked to Greg Jacobs, head coach, earlier. Bosqueville's at the Crawford 45, 27-20 the score. Bosqueville is moving. The game is on the line. And Cooper Golke strips the ball away from the ball carrier, and eventually also they ran out the clock and sealed the win for Crawford to remain unbeaten in a 27-20 win against Bosqueville. So Cooper Golke is the Cadillac moment, brought to you by, we mentioned Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Craig, real quickly, we've got to hit Phil Bennett at 5 o'clock, high school summary.
Yeah, I'll just go down the list here and point out the games that were of interest. Mansfield, 28. Midway, 24. Panthers start off 0-2 this season.
0-3?
0-3, excuse me.
Yeah, 0-3, and now they have a must-win against Waco High this Friday at home. They don't win that game, there's a chance they don't make the playoffs for the first time since, 7, 8, something like that.
Yeah, so that's just kind of surprising, and that district will only get tougher, actually.
No,
yeah.
Waco High and Waxahachie down the road, maybe Lake Ridge are possibly winnable games, but not the other one with Cedar Hill, DeSoto, and whatever else.
Yep, so that was from the 6A ranks. Temple,
in Duncanville.
Yeah, Temple Roll Bryan. Let's see here. Games of interest. Bowie over Lamar, 19-13.
Yeah, we had that in our pick'em. That's why you're bringing it up. Lamar have played a really good schedule. Those Arlington schools are good. Martin beat Temple, remember, just a couple of weeks ago. It's a nice win for Bowie.
Yep, Lorena, obviously you mentioned that score, but 28-20 over Cameron Yo.
Yo had the lead early, too. Mm-hmm. Lorena just kept doing, as they say, just kept chopping the wood. Next thing you know, they have the win. And that district with Troy, did you mention? I don't think you haven't mentioned that yet. That's another story in itself. But, yeah, that's a nice win for Lorena. Yo plays McGregor in a must-win for them.
What did you want to mention about Troy?
Troy played without Zach Robotchik. And they were down throughout the game against Caldwell and then found a way with a backup running back to win 21-6. Otherwise, it would have been a deadly loss in that district that is so jumbled. because so many people are right there in the middle of trying to make to the playoffs.
Rockdale had no problem with Little River Academy.
Now, Academy's kind of running out of gas. That's a hard district week in and week out, even though Lancaster's done a great job.
And I think everybody pretty much picked Franklin over Buffalo, but I don't know if they were expecting a 31-point victory by Franklin over Buffalo.
Franklin ran for almost like 600 yards in that game. Just mauled them.
Yeah, so that was a mighty impressive win for Franklin. And then, as far as our pick'em games go, I think every game that kind of was out there, Centerville, Grapeland turned into a great game. Centerville wins 38-34, but a lot of lopsided scores I noticed this week.
Yeah, last week, Paul went 19-1, moved up a little bit. Grayson 2 or 3 weeks ago went 18-2. It was a week to do that. This week, it's going to be interesting. There's probably, again, every week there's 3 to 5 games that are flip games. Like the Killeen game, not the Killeen game, but the Harker Heights and Ellison game was a flip game. There's about 4 or 5 again this week. We'll see what happens. All right. Thank you, Craig. Anything else?
No, that's the highlights, really, from the games that we were paying attention to.
Our broadcast Friday will be at China Spring, a 7 o'clock pregame, 7:30 the kick, Conley and China Spring. For the number 2 seed in District 9 4A Division II, Salado wrapped up the district title with the win against China Spring and earlier Conley a couple of weeks ago. When we come back, Phil Bennett, former Baylor defensive coordinator, and then Paul on his focus in Liberty. The football team, remember them that opened up the Matt Rule era? They're really pretty good. They got a dynamic running back as well. This is Sic'Em365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, a hidden gem, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Check out their Facebook and Instagram feeds, and you can see all the great stuff that they have there. And I'll just talk about their craft beer selection today. It's fantastic. You walk into the fridge, and you can see all the different kinds that they have. If you're a craft beer fan and you want to maybe do kind of a grab bag kind of a thing and get different stuff, you got to go to Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street. If you just look on their website, they have hundreds of beers listed. And, of course, some of them are seasonal because if you're a craft beer fan, you know beers are seasonal. But no matter whether it's summer, fall, winter, Oktoberfest, whatever they've got, they're going to have the latest seasonal beers in stock, plus all the stuff that you'd want to be looking for anyway. So check them out. Again, Facebook, Instagram, or just stop by the store and their convenient drive-through at Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street for Riverbend Liquor and Wine.
Employee pricing is back at Allen Samuels, exclusively on the king of minivans, the new 2020 Chrysler Pacifica. Get employee pricing plus financing as low as 0% or employee pricing and up to $4,250 in cash. You get Pacifica loaded up with style, comfort, and options all in one gorgeous minivan. Employee pricing with special financing or cash. Choices are always great at your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday 7 to 7, and personal trainers Christy London and Randall Court. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts, and when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
Welcome back to Sic'Em365 Radio.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Wiley, they come down the crease, trying to find him, and he got picked off. Baylor with the turnover, J.T. Woods, and he was J.T. money on that pick.
This segment with former Baylor defensive coordinator Phil Bennett is sponsored by the Nitschke Group Insurance Company, where clients are more than just a policy number. See why thousands of Texans trust the Nitschke Group with their home, auto, benefits, and commercial insurance coverage. Call their Waco office to speak with an expert at 254-420-3900 or visit them online at tngins.com. Now, here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go, this 5 o'clock hour. Paul will focus in on the Liberty football program, which has done such a great job and had a heck of a team every year so far this year. That comes at the bottom of the hour. We're now joined by former Baylor defensive coordinator Phil Bennett on Sic'Em365 Radio. So, we could go a lot of different directions. Let me ask you this. It's not as if you guys didn't have at times, wherever you've been, players who became disgruntled, perhaps threatened to leave, or maybe just wanted to send a message or whatever. It looks as if Dave Aranda and his staff have calmed down what's going on with Treston Ebner and John Lovett. Your thoughts about that story as a distraction, or can it be something that gives them a spark?
Well, obviously, I'm a coach, and I think Dave and his staff can work through it. Nowadays, and you and I have talked about it, and y'all are part of it. It used to be just talk radio. Now it's the social media, it's Twitter, it's Facebook. All these people are giving these kids information. You didn't carry the ball enough. You didn't do this. You did, and it's always going to be the coach's fault. But I think when they sit down and look and talk to these coaches with their reasons, I think it explains a lot of things, and I think they can learn from it. And I think always, everything you do is about a learning experience. Both of them are competitors. I know. I watch them compete, and I'm sure they're good kids, and I do. I think they could manage this.
Is this one of those things, though, that you do have to deal with also inside of a locker room, especially a locker room full of young people, is that if two guys are mad at the same time about the same thing and are just talking to each other, sometimes you can get trumped up to a pretty different decision than what you would do if you just would have talked to your coaches in the first place.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, any time the more verbiage that comes out of anger, the more it's regretted. And you paint yourself in a corner, and sometimes it's hard to get out. Now, it's always good, I say this again, to have competitive guys. But being competitive and being selfish is two different things. And you've got to look at the big picture. Still a lot of football to play. And I'm surely not getting on here and just giving coaches a pass. But listen, these guys, all of them, the coaches, players, everybody has been dealt a rough hand. I was concerned, I told you last week, with the layoff, the different time. They were anxious to get back on the field after the West Virginia game, didn't get to play. And then all of a sudden, Texas loses to Oklahoma, and we knew that they were in for a fight. And with just a little bit of luck, just a little bit, not giving up two big plays on defense in the secondary, they're going to win the game. They're in the game. So they're not that far away.
Phil, I agree with you. There's a couple of things. They could very well be 3-0, but they are 1-2. What were some things that stood out to you? Obviously, a really good defensive performance outside of the couple of miscues, and the offense just not able to do enough ultimately.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say this again. Defensively, you can't, and I'm sure Roberts would say this, you can't give up a uncovered 72-yard play. You can't give up back-to-back 47, 48-yard uncovered plays. And those led, if you look, guys, those led to 14 points. And it became a difference in the game. With that said, we were on the field too long. Texas, they rushed the ball, I think, 47 times. We rushed it 23. The clock was to their advantage. And we couldn't get going, couldn't make the plays that we needed to make early in the game offensively. And it became frustrating. But as the game progressed, I felt like Charlie, what we were doing, we started hitting the groove.
Phil, I got to bring up Charlie. I've said this before, and I people kind of get on me for my I guess what I think of him, which is I think that he pretty much has earned everything possible going forward. Eventually, if production's not there, then if the other two, Bohannon or Zeno, can prove during practice, if they ever get much practice, that they're better, then I'm sure the coaching staff would make that decision. But do you see Charlie Brewer has regressed in his time at Baylor? Do you feel like as a defensive coach that you know what he can and cannot do?
I will say this, he is the starting quarterback because Larry and Dave feel like he gives them the best chance to win. And I know both of them, and they know exactly what they're looking for. Now, with that said, his production, he lost a NFL receiver. He lost a running back that I think Hastings is somewhere on a roster doing something that could run and catch. So I think he's lost some of his guys, Tecklenburg, the up front people. And I think that with all the issues of COVID and guys not playing, I know two of their guys were not in the lineup on Saturday. I just don't think he has got back to a form that we've all expected him to have. That's what I see.
Phil, I'll ask you this question just for the edification of our listeners. Craig and I brought this point up earlier, and this is, you can speak to your experience. Have you ever been part of a staff, and I know what the answer to the question is, outside of a disciplinary reason, that did not play the best player available to play at any position?
I can't, over 40 years, unless it was a situation that he was injured or disciplinary, no, I don't.
Yeah. So when people conspire that there's only one currency that coaches have. It's wins and losses. So whoever's going to get you to the better part of that currency is who you're going to always go with, right?
Yeah, 99.99.
Yeah. I know it sounds dumb that I have to ask that question, but we have to address it quite a bit.
Yeah, we actually do. Hey, Coach, how good is this Oklahoma State defense? Pretty impressive win by them over Iowa State this weekend.
I think they're good. I don't think they're dominant. They give up also. They give up a lot of plays. You saw they give up explosion plays that got Iowa State back in the game, and Iowa State dropped some balls that could have won the game for them. I still believe this is a very doable game with Baylor. I think that when they end up playing whenever it is, but I thought that they were good, not great.
Your thoughts about, we've asked you, and you discussed what you knew about Terrell Bernard. He was named Defensive Player of the Week. He had 19 tackles. He was all over the place against Texas. And he only has started now for what, a year?
A little over a year, yeah.
When Johnson got hurt.
Yeah, when Clay got hurt against Oklahoma about a year ago. He's been the Big 12 Player of the Week 3 times in less than, I guess, a full season.
Listen, he's everything we saw. I'll never forget Carlton Buckles and I went down there his junior year, and we immediately I told you, I went to school with his coach, and he said, Phil, I've never had one like this. And there's been some players through LaPorte. And you know, he is a guy that exemplifies plays every play. He was by far, both teams, in every game he's played, he's been the best football player on the field, regardless of position. He is a stone-cold stud.
Yeah, he really is. I was on a podcast last week in Austin, and I told him I think he's the best linebacker. And I didn't just say the Big 12. I think he might be the best linebacker in the country. Of course, it's very early for that, and some guys aren't going to play.
You know what? One thing, Smoke, you can't make up. His cover speed is like there was an add in, and Sam's not a burner, but he's not slow either. I mean, there was a play that Sam was sort of scrambling. We had a 3-man rush on. We had pretty good coverage. Sam looked like he was going to come to the line of scrimmage, and I'm telling you, he hit Sam. Do you remember when he whipped his neck? I mean, he is a cobra. When he hits you, you're going to feel it.
Except the cobra can kill you. That's maybe Sam thought that might be the case.
Are you getting the?
Yeah.
Hey, if I hadn't made myself clear, if I hadn't made myself clear, I love this kid.
Yeah. No, you do. Yeah.
I remember when I talked to him, he was a serious dude. He had a plan. He, obviously when all our stuff went south, he ended up. He said, "I'm going to go to Houston." And I'll never forget, I told his high school coach, I said, and I don't mean to slap to Houston, I said, he needs to be at a Power 5 school. He needs Baylor. I told all of them. Joey, I said, this is one, you better get back on. Because the middle of the year, he dropped us because of the uncertainty.
Yeah.
And he is, I think, without question, he will be a first-team All-American player.
There were some blown coverages. That's going to happen. That's human. It can happen for maybe even a guy who runs the wrong route or the quarterback throws something he shouldn't throw. How much does missing Christian Morgan in the secondary, is that what probably mostly happened on Saturday against Texas?
I don't know. I know Christian is a great player, and I know they missed him. The other games, I haven't seen that. Against West Virginia, they did such a good job of carrying the vertical. But these routes, I mean, I think it was 72, 48, 45. Those turned the field on you. And I thought, I will say this: Texas is not a great team. Yeah. I mean, and I think the receivers, little seven can run a little bit. Everybody else is tall and slow. And I really liked the matchup that we had. And I did not know Morgan wasn't going to play. But, I mean, Raleigh did a good job. I thought what happened, I can't tell you. But there must have been, it was definitely a coverage bust because it wasn't ability-wise. When we were in our gap, I mean, we held them, I think we were held to 3 yards of snap rush, and they were only 3-4. But we were doing things good. And we just needed till our offense got their bearings. We couldn't afford to give those plays up.
I'm with you, Coach, on Texas. I mean, there's some pretty good players, but that's not some world beater of a team by any means. I was curious, how much do you know about Luke Fickell at Cincinnati? How much have you maybe been able to see of those guys? A pretty impressive performance against SMU this past weekend.
Well, I know Luke all the way back when he was a player. And, I knew him when he used to recruit. When I was at Pittsburgh, he recruited Pittsburgh. He's a great young coach. He's got some very, veteran guys on that staff. A name, David, you might remember is John Tenuta.
Mm-hmm.
You know, John was a DC at Notre Dame, Virginia, Ohio State, and John helped the young coordinator there, Steve Strickland, who's been at Michigan, and Luke has really done a good job. I think that they have recruited well, that they've evaluated very well, and they pretty much dominated SMU. You know, once the game, their quarterback was active. They run the ball. They're very sound on defense, and they're a pretty good football team. Yes, they are.
Coach, do you think that in the Indiana-Penn State game that was a 2-point conversion?
No.
I'm with you, Coach. I'm with you.
No. I mean, I'm going to tell you something. You know, the human nature of the eye in the sky, the people make the decision, they don't want to make those refs look bad, in my deal. And I think without question, the ball was on the ground before it crossed, and it was not a 2-point play. And unfortunately, you know, with the game, we saw that play, you know, which let's be honest, Franklin could have ended the game if he doesn't score. He'd give them like 8 seconds with the ball. And then how often does this happen? Then the same thing basically happened between Atlanta and Detroit when Gurley scores too fast and Matthew takes them right down the field and beats them. So,
yeah,
you know, that's why they call it a game of inches. It's easy to be critical when you're not in the heat of the moment. Now, the one thing I want to discuss, I haven't talked to Dave. Why did we punt on the 30-yard line?
Well, no, he said today.
I know there's got to be
Yeah. Do you want to listen to his answer? Do we have that, CJ? Do you have time, Phil? It's like about a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We'll put you on. And here is Dave Aranda when he was asked that question. I'm glad you brought it up because we were going to bring it up in the next segment. Here's Dave Aranda.
I have talked to the staff a lot about just when getting to know our team, getting to know our players. You know, we've spent so much time getting to know our people. I think we're probably more familiar with our people than we are our players. And so we're kind of learning our players as we go here. You know, there's been times to where you've got this group of 11 guys and you're kind of playing, you're kind of getting to know them, and then you break and then you come back with a different group of 11 guys, or maybe this position or that position. And so I think coaching wise, what happens there is that sometimes you try to set the table and, try to control the environment, maybe by this call, it's a double check, or it's a check with me, or it's a motion to try to get an ID, or it's hey, we're going to bluff this, but we're going to check it and run this. And so I think there's been some of that, and some of that is just trying to get, that's kind of in the response of really not knowing our team, or getting to know our team rather, and just giving them the fundamentals and let them go and play. And so I've talked quite a bit about that with our team, with our staff, players and coaches. And, I think I was guilty of that with what you're talking about, with just trying to be too cute, trying to be too elaborate. And, it's a mistake on my part. I think, the ability to put our team out there and protect that thing and kick it through the uprights is the better choice. And so I think, I think it goes, and I brought it up to the staff and to the team in that respect. It's an opportunity for us to learn and grow from and continue to come together as players and coaches as a team.
All right, so that's Dave Aranda. Phil, I love the fact he admitted it. He flat out did.
Well, let me say this again, and I'm not like I said, there's some things I'm going to say after, but Dave and what his staff has gone through is really, it has been a mess. And everything he said, not knowing the kicker, are we confident enough to go for it? All those things I agree with. But when you're playing on the road, and it's just me, and one of the things I love about us when I was at Baylor is and Art used to tell our kids, and I'm not throwing this shade on Dave, but hey, we're never going to back down from a challenge. And if the ball's at the 30 in a game like that, I will guarantee you we would either gone for it or found a kicker. You know, I just think the moment probably caught Dave, and I'm definitely not being critical I thought he got a pass because of what happened. But at some point, if you're ever going to be the team you want to be, I mean, you got to play fearless. And your players got to know there's never a doubt. My coach is going. We're going for this, or we got confidence in our kicker. And we're in season now. You got to make those plays. I think the average fan and the average coach would agree with that.
No, I think that.
What's your thought?
Yeah. No, we all agree with you. It was stunning, and especially when you then just slam it right into you punt it right to the end zone.
Well, then you give up a big play right after
and then
that
right after
like
that,
80 yards.
I was going to ask you this. First of all, it was a shocking decision. It was stunning. I asked him about it. We all asked him about it. But as a head coach, do you learn on the fly like that? Is that something now he can put in his back pocket, even though it was a tough decision, a wrong decision, and a costly decision? Do you put that in your back pocket? Do you immediately reflect back on that at some time down the road?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Listen, game management from being a defensive coordinator to managing the whole game is a whole new realm. And I don't care who you are, how smart you are. You got James Franklin like yesterday, who is doing a great job at Penn State. You know, they weren't able to do it. I mean, he will learn from this. Dave is a smart guy. And let me say this too. Once he gets a better confidence, which hopefully is soon, and those kids, that he knows who the playmakers are and where he wants the ball to go. Larry also, then it will help us. Now, you'd be surprised too, and I don't know what was said, but sometimes coaches say things on the phone, and I remember one time when I was at Arizona State, one of the coaches mentioned something with Todd Graham in a crucial game. We're playing at Stanford, and it was a terrible situation. He wanted to go. We were backed up, and he wanted to go a spread punt. We were playing good. We had the lead, and we hadn't practiced it, and we did it. Got a punt ball for a touchdown. Cost us the game.
Yeah, Nick Saban tried to kick a field goal at the end of the game against Auburn and had nobody but 300-pound offensive linemen on the field because they were trying to protect the kick.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
Nick Saban, even during times after he'd won multiple national titles as well. Anything else, guys? No. Phil, we love the segment. The audience loves the segment. Great to hear from you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
One thing I'm going to finish with, let's make sure that we, support these guys. These guys with a little bit of, right now, not having success, this is when you become fans for your team and coaches.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it. Phil Bennett, former Baylor defensive coordinator, coached everywhere, and included Arizona State, the thing there.
I think one thing that people have maybe lost track of or not considered enough, this is just my opinion because this is what I was thinking yesterday when I was seeing all of the talk about, and really I was thinking this Saturday with the talk about the punt decision and all of that. He's a first-year head coach. Yeah. Like, anybody who's expecting flawless decision-making now throughout the rest of this season or even in the next few years. I mean, you bring up the Nick Saban decision against Auburn 3-4 years ago. Coaches are still going to make mistakes from time to time, no matter their experience level, but they're certainly going to make more maybe scratch-your-head type of decisions early on when they're still trying to figure things out a little bit. And so I think that's one that he's probably, maybe even, I don't know if he's embarrassed by it, but, probably regretting quite a bit. And look, next time they're in that situation, they'll kick the football and make a different one. All
right, great point. COVID testing, total active cases. Now think about where they were. One symptomatic case. Total number of cases being monitored, 3. This number includes primary contacts. That's the Baylor testing update. They have been as transparent about this from week to week to week to Monday to Monday to Monday since it all began and when they needed to be able to update you and their family. of what's going on with COVID.
Yeah, so just the one active case, no new cases. So this is one that's carried over from last week. It is symptomatic, but that's it. I mean, there's just the one case, even the total number of cases being monitored, which includes the contact tracing, 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've
still
really,
a day-to-day process,
I mean, it's day-to-day. They could have 30 by Wednesday for all we know. But, I mean, you do feel better that they kind of went through it as a large group a couple weeks ago when you had 20, I think, on this list last week, 20-plus on this list. And it was like 40-something contact tracing. So, yeah, that's a big, big difference, and hopefully bodes well for the rest of the way. Because as I said to somebody on Twitter, for like all the complaints are valid. Phil Bennett's absolutely right as far as the support thing, especially this year. I mean, I would think people would have learned from Matt Rule's 1-11 year that had egg on their face the next couple of years, that you don't just make judgments overall like 3 games into a season with a first-year head coach in the midst of a pandemic. I mean, you got to kind of give these guys a little bit of room to breathe and a little bit of room for understanding. And this is not like the final form of Dave Aranda or this football team. I mean, it's frustrating. You'd rather be 3-0 than 1-2, but I mean, they could very well run the table. I doubt it, but I mean, you got to show the support, though. That's more important now than ever before. I agree with him on that.
And criticism can still be support.
Sure,
you want answers.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. I think sometimes people look at responses, at least from me, when it comes to Charlie Brewer, as if I'm saying that he's perfect and he doesn't deserve to be criticized. That's not what I'm saying. There are times I'm like, what are you doing? Like the pick against West Virginia late in the game. It was a terrible throw, terrible decision. It's just that we're not in the inner workings inside the day-to-day practices and meetings and, heck, whatever practices they've had, along with anybody else.
Well,
we don't know that because Mayers is missing field goals, is it he's having a bad year? He's missed now 3, and all of them were important. Is it because it's the snap or the hold? And I'm not pointing fingers at them, but a field goal kick, you have 3 components. Mm-hmm. Every one of them has to be almost flawless, and that's not always the case, but it just might be that John's having a bad stretch. Tiger Woods didn't make every 10-foot putt one year. And I'm not comparing him to Tiger.
No, but I mean, it could be any number of things other than just the way he's kicking the football. It could be where the football is when he's kicking it, where the lace is, all that kind of jazz. But I said this to somebody earlier. They had a tweet about Aranda and just the way that he's handled everything. And it was from Josh. He said, it's hard not to want to buy into Aranda's philosophical approaches and how he's handling the team right now. His willingness to connect with players seems unmatched, something special brewing in Waco with him at the helm. And I said, you can tell how much it frustrates him that, they can't do all the things, go movie nights and do all the things that, are team building, but they just need more time. They just need to practice for a couple weeks uninterrupted and play a couple of games uninterrupted without getting it called off 24 hours or 48 hours before, having no practices for 3 weeks. They just need to play more, and they'll be fine.
It's a pretty simple thing, and I think people forget that. They saw it, and I wrote this about watching. I actually didn't get put on, but I wrote about Texas and the website this weekend that you're going to see this game, and you'll see all these things about Texas because it's a rivalry game, and Tom Herman's under fire. And as a rival school, you want to absolutely kick your rival when they're down. You want to kick dirt in their eye when they're crying. You absolutely want to do that. I get that. But don't put normal expectations onto a game that has abnormal circumstances. And because of the abnormal circumstances, I think people, they chose to forget them, in that the team hadn't practiced in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And Texas practiced and played during that whole time. Yeah. They didn't have to stop. Like we don't know what Texas's COVID numbers are, but they clearly weren't bad enough for them to have to
report on.
Yeah, they weren't bad enough for them to have to derail anything. As where Baylor had a catastrophic situation when it came to the COVID numbers, they had to deal with it, and now they can hopefully move on without any more stoppages because it was so big.
Doesn't mean it's fixed this week either, but hope that it will be better.
Just practice and play,
right.
Practice and play, practice and play.
Brian Etheridge, by the way, on Sic'Em365 in the premium, we brought up the kicking. I'm going to bring this up. Injuries to kickers early. No kickers available. No long snapper, deep snapper available. 4 days of practice. Look at the ball and the misses. Look where it leans. Rhythm and reps. Rhythm and reps. Rhythm and reps. Rhythm and reps.
And you too can read that by being a premium member of Sic'Em365.com.
It was perfect timing.
I mean, it's a little sampling of some of the things that are discussed on there. And, there's a lot of talk about that story and the way it broke yesterday. That broke via Colt and Brian, right? And they had it right from the get-go. And I know there's been, comments here and there about, how much of it was legit or is this being blown? No, I mean, all of it was legit. Those guys were leaving the team. They were going to leave the team, and they got some people in their ear who actually have their best interests in mind, and they were convinced to stay, or at least came to the decision to stay. So they were very much not going to be on this team this week. For anybody that's still doubting that at this point. But again, I not making excuses, but if you're not at least factoring in the lack of practices, the lack of week to week, and then judging this football team as though they are practicing week to week and they've been practicing all this time and they're playing game after game after game, well, that's just unfair. Yeah. And it's going to take some time, and that's just what people are going to have to deal with.
Speaking of the reporting, this is from somebody I know is close to Treston and John. If people would have waited for the final decision, weighing their options instead of wanting to get media clout, it would have been so much. It wouldn't have been so out of hand. But a new day, a new news, Sic'Em TCU. I beg to differ.
I don't know that it's if that's talking about Sic'Em365, then she's wrong, but I don't know that she is. So I would, because she was also complimentary earlier, or retweeting some of the Sic'Em365 stuff. So I think that might be to someone else, quite frankly, because the way it was handled on this end, there was nothing wrong with the report. It was factual. Those guys were going to lead the team, and then as the night unfolded, they ended up changing their minds.
All right, the women's and men's basketball programs have released their schedules. Let's do over this. I know, Paul, you have your Liberty feature, which we need to get to as well. Women's basketball, just looking at the non-conference schedule. First game, November 25th. They get into conference play on December the 10th. UConn on January 7th. That is the game that they always have after conference play starts. They open up at West Virginia, and then their next conference game will be at home against Texas Tech on the 14th. So that's that for the women. South Florida's on the road at Arkansas. That could be a nice little test in Fayetteville. And then I mentioned the UConn game. That's the one that pops at you. Their opening game, November 25th against Central Arkansas. Time to be determined. Men's basketball. We know they got Gonzaga December the 5th. They have the Empire Classic, which has Villanova and other teams.
Yeah.
It may be part of that.
Rutgers, Michigan State.
Yeah, that's a heck of a deal there. They open up conference play Sunday, December 13th against Texas. I don't remember them ever opening up conference play, at least, and maybe I'm wrong. I haven't been that. Texas, then they go at Kansas State. They got a couple of non-conference games in late December when everyone gets away for the holiday. Their SEC game with Auburn is on Saturday, January the 30th. All right? No more than back-to-back home games and no more than back-to-back road games in conference play. In fact, I don't see any back-to-back road games. Now, what you do see a lot of is Sunday, Monday. That Saturday, Monday, what they got to do a lot of that last year.
And they're really, a lot of teams are going to be playing games close together because they want to make sure that they get them in. As we've seen, the longer you wait, the more likely you are to have a problem.
Last game of the year on February 27th, which is at Kansas, which is about a week earlier or two than when they would normally end the Big 12 regular season. Coming up next, Liberty. What a year they're having. We hope that we've allowed you to digest a lot of information from Dave Aranda, from Phil Bennett, from many others on a lot of the questions you may have, and maybe it did at least give you some more insight, and maybe not. Maybe it validated what you thought in the first place, or perhaps maybe changed your mind. That's not what we're here for. We're here to feed you as much as we possibly can, even though we always are going to disagree about some certain things along the way. This is Sic'Em 365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty, when you walk through his front door, they have a flat screen right there on the inside of his office. And it has Sic'Em 365 Radio. It's probably playing there right now because of, in the background, of course, they're our studio sponsor. Comprehensive men's health care, low T therapy, and much, much more. Comprehensive men's health care. That means just when you need help, when you need to find out about various parts of your health. Currently offering men initial free courtesy consultation, providing details on medical care, focusing on promoting superior health in men and achieving high performance. If you have low testosterone, do you know it? 1 out of every 3 men have low testosterone. In fact, causes the following symptoms: It's fatigue and loss of energy, decreased muscle mass and strength, loss of sexual interest, poor sex performance, and even ED, weight gain, depression, moodiness, poor sleep, insomnia, and on and on and on. And Dr. Petty can do this for you. Tell them Smokey sent you. Contact them online, pettycliniclowt.com, or call them. They'll set you up, get lab work at a discounted rate. Tell them Smokey sent you. Get your blood work, get your lab results. They also do PSA testing, among others. And then if your testosterone is too low, Dr. Petty will put you in a program to increase your testosterone level so you can become the high-performance man that you want to be and need to be at pettycliniclowt.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
This is Paul Catalina's College Football Focus.
Now they throw it out, trying to set up a screen pass to Mario Douglas. Has it inside the 10 to the house. Perfectly executed play, and DeMario Douglas does the rest.
Our college football focus on Sic'Em365 Radio. The 6-0 Liberty Flames. Damian Sordelet of the Lynchburg News joins us now. And Damian, Hugh Freeze obviously had success at Ole Miss, and his termination there was not about performance, but it was about off-the-field issues and NCAA troubles. So him coming in, it should not be a surprise that the Flames are successful, but are you surprised that they have been this successful and this good?
I would say I'm not surprised at how successful they've been this year when you look at the schedule of the teams they've played. Obviously, Western Kentucky was supposed to be one of the best teams in Conference USA, has had a really slow, uneven start, and is coming off a one-score win over FCS Chattanooga. You look at Florida International's not having a great year. Just lost to an FCS team in Jacksonville State. Syracuse, the troubles for the Orange have been documented, even though they gave Clemson a pretty good run for the money. Louisiana Monroe is not very good, and Southern Miss only has one win, but that's a team that's better than one win. So they've beaten the teams they're supposed to beat this year, and being at 6-0, they've done what they're supposed to do. They've been favored to win in all but one game this year, and that was Western Kentucky. And I believe that Hugh Freeze's mindset and the way that he's been recruiting there, and they just got their first major pickup of this year today, and a 4-star prospect according to ESPN 300 who spurned offers from Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida State, Penn State, and Kristen Zachary out of Georgia, defensive end. So I would say he's done a really good job of that. And I was thinking 5-1 at best at this stretch. And so 6-0 is pretty good. And, they're at heights that we've never seen for this program before. And it's something that's really been remarkable to see in such a quick time period with him.
Well, it looks, watching that they have a couple of playmakers that can bust things wide open. I know that quarterback play hasn't been, setting it on fire, but Hugh Freeze is running an offense that doesn't it kind of protect against what their deficiencies are right now?
Yeah, it does. And it's the RPO offense. And I mean, he ran it at Ole Miss. And if you remember, he had different types of quarterbacks. Bo Wallace, Chad Kelly are two different types of quarterbacks, and he tailored the offenses around them so that way they could be really explosive. And no matter if you're in a more drop back or if you're in a more dual threat guy, and this year with Malik Willis, you're able to have the dual threat guy. And when you don't have your top two receivers throughout the year in CJ Yarbrough and Noah Frith, you find ways to make those other guys like a DJ Stubbs, Demario Douglas, a Kevin Shaw, those guys get more involved. And then you look at the running game. They entered this past week number 6 in the nation in rushing yards per game, and they didn't need to run the ball against Southern Miss because Willis was throwing the ball all over the place and throwing it very well. But they've been able to run the ball, and that offensive line is made up of 4 guys who were recruited when Liberty was still an FCS program. And those guys have really developed well. Most of them are all still undersized, and they've really developed and bought in. And it's something where Hugh Freeze has a way of finding the best out of people, that extra few percent that you try to grab out of them to have them go to the next level. And he seems to have been able to do that for everyone on that offense this year.
How concerned are the Liberty faithful about Hugh Freeze because of what he's done jumping to a Power 5 program in next year?
That is a recurring fear for them. But here's the general consensus. Most fans that I've talked to realized this was probably going to be it wasn't going to be a long-term deal. That's the general consensus. They thought if Hugh Freeze can get them to another level, and then he goes off to wherever he wants to, and then he's just setting up Liberty to be in a better position when Liberty goes for its next hire. And I've talked to several ADs, and they said you always want to be in a position where your coach is sought after than have a coach that no one wants. And right now, it seems like every program in the nation that might have a potential opening, Hugh Freeze's name is being linked to. And that's a good problem to have if you're Ian McCall, the AD at Liberty, who your listeners know very well from his time at Baylor, and being able to find a coach like Art Briles, who before everything transpired, he helped raise the Baylor name and got that program into a position. And I thought he did a good job there of getting the most out of his kids, and most out of the kids from the previous coaching staff. And I think Hugh Freeze has done the same thing with Turner Gill's players and now with his players. And, whether Freeze stays, because there's a pretty substantial buyout with Hugh Freeze's latest contract, and he's making about $2 million a year. So that's where I think Power 5 coffers will come into play if they're willing to pay that and get him back. And a lot of fans want him to stay around, but I have a feeling for right now, as long as he keeps putting them in the right direction, if he goes somewhere else, they want someone to come in and at least keep the direction going in the same trajectory.
All right, then they've got two more ACC games, Virginia Tech and NC State. Both those teams, differing levels of success. NC State's been surprisingly good early on in the season. But finishing out this year, if they say they split those last two games that are 8-2, do you think that is probably above what everybody thought? And do you think that that's probably where they're going to be at the end of the year?
Yeah, right now they have three games that are going to be tough. It's Virginia Tech, which just fell out of the AP Top 25. Same with NC State. And then their finale right now is December 5th at Coastal Carolina. And that's looking like it's going to be a sneaky good game because the Chanticleers are running through the Sun Belt right now. So after this open week, you have Virginia Tech. That's an interstate game where, Freeze is going to have 2 weeks to prepare for them, and that's going to be something fun to see what they do, because you're going to have strength on strength with Liberty's run game against Virginia Tech's run game, and the two offensive lines for that one that's going to be a big one. And then Western Carolina's an FCS team. They ought to have a chance against NC State. If NC State's quarterback's not back in time for that one, that could give Liberty a chance. And you got UMass, then Coastal Carolina. So 9-2 is not out of the question. Very possibly 10-1. Liberty could be at 9-1 entering that Coastal Carolina game. That could be a big thing for this program. Third year at FBS, still the newbie. So it'll be fun to see if Liberty can keep this up. And right now with no real bowl tie-in, trying to make as strong of a case as possible to be playing in a bowl game here whenever we get to that point of the season.
Whenever that is, some point indeterminate in the future. Damian Sordelet, Lynchburg News with us here on Sic'Em365 Radio and our college football focus.
Of course, the AD at Liberty, Ian McCall, formerly AD at Baylor. All right, a group of over 30 physicians in Central Texas became frustrated seeing their patients fail at losing weight themselves, and they opened up Muscle-Wise Nutrition. They've seen too many patients suffer from complications of obesity. Patients who have tried countless do-it-yourself diets often resulted in 25% of the weight they lose coming from muscle breakdown and muscle loss. They wanted to find another approach, and they opened up Muscle-Wise Nutrition. The coach-managed diet program that loses substantial weight, targeting fat while sparing muscle. Dieters who have seen weekly by a coach who performs detailed body composition analysis. Here's what you do if you're interested. You've tried everything. Sic'Em365 at MuscleWiseNutrition.com. I'm asking you, if you have a problem with your weight and you've tried everything or you've just given up, Sic'Em365 at MuscleWiseNutrition.com. Sic'Em365 at MuscleWiseNutrition.com. And one of the coaches, a part of Muscle-Wise Nutrition, will contact you. Lose weight by not losing the muscle. Lose weight by not losing muscle. Muscle-Wise Nutrition. Sic'Em365 at MuscleWiseNutrition.com.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lakeview Drive in Waco or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to Sic'Em365 Radio.
The Sic'Em365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, wrapping it up. We have about 3 minutes here to get to a lot. JaMychal Hasty, 9 carries, 57 yards, 1 catch, 16 yards. Henry Black forced a fumble against the Texans for the Packers. Jarrett Stidham played a little bit, not really big stats.
Denzel Mims had 4 catches.
Denzel Mims, his debut, played pretty well, made a block that helped also get a guy in the end zone on a running play near the goal line. Cowboys and the Redskins. Everyone knows I'm a lifelong Washington Football Club team fan. CJ is too. I love the shirt. That was stunning to me how dominant they were, no matter what the Cowboys are dealing with, which is a lot. I was stunned by that.
I was not.
I know you were.
I wasn't. I was. I didn't rule out a Washington win, Paul, but I didn't think they were just going to beat them up.
No, the way that the offensive line is constructed right now is really bad. No quarterback could be good behind it. And look, Andy Dalton's not played well, but I don't know how you could expect anybody to play really well behind that bad of an offensive line that they have right now.
We expect Charlie Brewer to.
Yeah. Well, it's the same. I had the same conversations 2 days in a row with people about, I had a friend text me and say, oh, they should go get RG3. It's like, why? So we can break both his legs? Exactly. I mean, like, come on. It's nothing against Robert. It's just the line is terrible, and the Cowboys need to collect assets. And right now, according to a report from Mike Fisher, Dontari Poe, Everson Griffin, and Darryl Worley are on the trade block.
Okay, who would want Worley?
Okay, I don't know what you'd give up for Worley unless you, what'd you give him?
Nothing.
I mean, nothing. He's terrible.
I would give up something for Everson Griffin down the stretch.
I saw a response to Fish on, well, who's going to be there if Dontari Poe's not? And my thought was, he might not well as be there anyway. Yeah. And then Everson Griffin might have some conditional pick value.
Yeah.
But they're in a bad way. Jerry might have, I don't want to, he might have made a bad hire. Let's just face it. Mike McCarthy might have been the guy. And for this group of players.
Might be, but, they are on their backup quarterback with a bad offensive line. I don't know what people are expecting them to be.
But they were bad before that.
But the Redskins offense looked like they were
I got it.
Joe Gibbs.
Yeah, I was going to mention, though, that I was listening to I was in the car running to Aaron, and the fan post-game was on, and Brian Broaddus was actually discussing trading one of the receivers. And in this case, it would be Michael Gallup, and trying to get something for him because you feel like, with Amari or CD that you've got enough there, and you obviously need a lot of pieces elsewhere. So that's not like anything official, but that's just maybe the type of thing you start hearing is one of those receivers like a Michael Gallup being on the move to try and get some help somehow.
And here's another thing. When Andy Dalton took what was a vicious and unnecessary hit from Bostic, and he was ejected as he should have been, the flag was thrown as he should have been, and thank God he's alive. But not one player came to his defense.
No, Steve Young tweeted today. Steve Young. Mormon quarterback, Steve Young. Nice.
Someone's got to get ejected or fined or something for retaliation.
He showed, you remember when they were playing the Bears and he ran into the end zone, and I can't remember who it was, but Cheap shot at him as he scored a touchdown. Steve Young spiked the ball at that guy's feet, and then his offensive line came and got in that guy's grill.
You don't want to get ejected for retaliation. You surely don't want to take a $100,000 or $50,000 fine, although the team would probably pay it if they can legally. But somebody's got to do something in that moment. Bostic, that he lowered it. He knew what he was doing. I hate it. I was more upset. People got mad at me because I wasn't worried about Andy Dalton. As a fan that's gun shy with anything Washington does, I was expecting that to flip the script. But Dallas has, someone said you could have a tank of nitrogen or gasoline and light it with a match. It would not light.
No, there's no fire on that team.
Finish the day off with this. Game 6 in the World Series tomorrow. DK Metcalf. Unbelievable.
I needed him to have a few more fantasy points, and I should have gotten 15
for that.
For that. I mean,
chasing down.
He saved down a touchdown.
That was Baker. That was incredible. All right, thanks to Dave Aranda, Kevin Hoffman, Greg Jacobs, Lance McElhaney, Phil Bennett. Good stuff from him as always, and Damian Sordelet on the Liberty football team. Craig, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Paul, great stuff. CJ and Armstrong with all of what you did with the audio, the graphics, and everything else in between. Our sponsors who are amazing since the opening show, April the 6th, and yet another show is over. We'll see what we have for tomorrow, and we'll try to bring you something special. In fact, tomorrow might be James Francis, the former Baylor linebacker, I believe, that might be a part of tomorrow's show. I'm David Smoke. For everyone I've mentioned, thank you for listening and watching whenever you do, however long it might be. Good night on Sic'Em365 Radio.
Let's face it, some people just like driving around in the nude. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters to talk about those truck owners that know they have naked trucks but simply don't care. You'll hear them saying something like, I'm just driving around free and easy, nothing constricting me. Gross. But there is something that can entice almost any naked truck owner. Leather. I mean, they kind of go together, right? And Pickup Outfitters is an authorized dealer and professional installer of cat skin leather seats. So I'm asking you to do your part and help us end truck nudity. The next time you're near your naked truck owner friend, you can say something like, you know what would really be sexy on your truck? Leather. And they'll get that sly smile, and you know you've hit them in their weak spot. Pickup Outfitters installs factory matching leather kits or custom
custom kits in just about any color combination for your truck or even car. It's the sexy thing to do. You can be part of the problem, or you can create a commotion with cat skin leather seats at Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sic'Em365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
A group of over 30 physicians in Central Texas became frustrated seeing patients fail at losing weight themselves. They opened Muscle-Wise Nutrition. We've seen too many patients suffer from complications of obesity. Patients who have tried countless do-it-yourself diets, which often results in 25% of the weight they lose coming from muscle breakdown and muscle loss. We needed another approach, so we opened Muscle-Wise Nutrition. This is a coach-managed diet program to lose substantial weight, targeting fat while sparing muscle. Dieters are seen weekly by a coach who performs detailed body composition analysis. Please email us at Sic'Em365 at MuscleWiseNutrition.com, and one of our coaches will contact you promptly to get you set up for our free educational seminars. Lose weight by losing fat and sparing muscle. Start MuscleWise today. Contact us at Sic'Em365 at MuscleWiseNutrition.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.